Good evening. It is officially 9 o'clock p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, and my friends, you are listening and or watching to the TheRantCast Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good night out there. I am your host, Josh, also known as The Strange Bus, and you can find me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. That's twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. I am joined by my other host, who also takes over sometimes and is a great friend of mine, Kurgan. You can also find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuestFans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuestFans. Also has a great YouTube channel if you can't catch the Twitch VODs, and that is XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans. That's XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans. We've got a great show for you tonight. Kurgan, you're on.
TheRantCast. Hey buddy, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Just before we get started, I do have to let people know here, because we use this wonderful music. It's brought to you by Karl Casey at Whitebat Audio. You can find his audio if you'd like to use it for your future projects. That's Karl Casey at Whitebat Audio or whitebataudio.com. Search Whitebat Audio on YouTube. If you'd like to check out his premium music, like to donate, or listen to it on Spotify, you can do that. Or you can check out his Bandcamp, and that's karlcasey.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We've got a pretty decent podcast for you, whether you're listening or you're watching. It'll be episode 50 of the TheRantCast Podcast.
Oh yeah, big 5-0.
So I am unsure if Kurgan's got anything for the HeroQuest Power Hour. Do you, my friend?
I do have a little something.
Okay, so we'd have HeroQuest Power Hour, and then I've got quite the rant for you in regards to our pop culture time, especially for Star Wars, anything Star Wars related. You know, I'm trying to keep that alive, even though it's slowly dying in front of my eyes. So
Gotta laugh to keep from crying.
So strap in, get yourself a sandwich, something to drink, because it's going to be one heck of a podcast. But yeah, Kurgan.
Yes.
Every time you do it, man,
All right.
There's been one successful full-on rantcast from you. Every time the broadcast just cuts you off. Doesn't want you to fully say it. But how have you been doing? Before we get started, how are you?
Oh.
What's going on with you this week?
Yeah, I've been doing great. I had started this project, this painting project, from before Gen Con. I was trying to paint a whole bunch of Warhammer figures that I'd had forever, and it's just about done. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I wasn't going to show them all on the stream. Maybe this weekend I'll show a little bit, but yeah, did a lot of that, and it's pretty cool. Just otherwise, just kind of doing the same old. On the streams, we've been getting pretty close to finishing Rise of the Dread Moon, which was a pretty fun campaign. It's always cool to bring more people in, and it seems like we're growing and we're getting more people to join us. So that's good stuff. It's getting colder. I'm actually looking forward to Halloween and all that. I might be doing some stuff for that. Probably just family and friends as opposed to streams. In the past, I've done little things here and there. You and I have done stuff, but I'm not sure how that'll go. I would say in the season of Halloween. It doesn't have to be just on the day. You know what I mean?
Right. Or
but yeah, something about
like a Boo Fest or something.
There you go. Well, something about when the weather changes. Like I really like when summer begins. I have so many fond memories of just like school's out, you can do anything, and it's like anything is possible. And then when fall begins, it's just like, oh yeah, Halloween's coming up, second favorite holiday, and then winter's coming after that, and then Christmas, favorite holiday, and it's like it's gonna be great. Leaves changing, it's all good. I know not everybody can enjoy all 4 seasons, so I feel like I'm privileged to have that.
That's quite the gift. I do and don't enjoy the end of the year because there's a lot that I have to do towards the end of the year. Mostly, not just like for Christmas or holiday. It's sometimes I have medical stuff, so I have to like renew my license quite often, like just like minor like housekeeping stuff. Um,
Yeah,
and it can be a chore because I have to deal with government regulated people who, the wait in line types. So it can be tedious because it's cold and it
yeah,
isn't particularly enjoyable. But yeah, the holidays can be quite hectic, especially with bigger families. Um,
it's true.
especially buying for now 4 children this year. Um, and we also have a
You got
birthday in December as well. So
you got to have the one crayon, and you break it in half, and you say like, "We're gonna have tryouts. Don't take too long," and then you leave the room. Just set it down in front of them.
fight to the death. The survivor gets the Christmas presents.
Yeah. Hey, it's a hard knock life.
Yep, indeed,
This was
indeed.
satire.
The Klingon family.
Yeah, they have no honor.
Those barrels have no honor.
It's true.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because yes, it is getting colder. There's a certain nostalgia or feeling with the cold, bitter air, and there's a smell with the autumn season to me that kind of just it's inviting and reminiscent of the times when I used to go trick or treating or enjoyed the holiday season, such as like Thanksgiving and Halloween, and then the closer you get to Christmas, the more festive I get because I do like to decorate. Um, I used
Yeah,
to
man.
cook
I
a
know.
lot for people. My wife's kind of taken that over, or we'll go to like my grandparents or her grandparents, and we'll take care of them and have dinner with them. But
Nice.
yeah, it can be. I understand a lot of people will do like 2 or 3 different types of Thanksgivings, and like I was like, oh man, it gets pretty. You get pretty
Well,
full, and you gain more than your fair share of weight.
for
So
sure. Yeah, I have that problem too. Well, I think the cool thing is when you're a guy like yourself with a young family. I mean, you're making your own traditions, right? And you can like enjoy it through their eyes. The next generation, like they see it, and it's like, wow. Maybe it's stressful for you to get it all done, but it's worth it.
I would
I
like
would think.
to, I would like to be able to like because like right now it's still pretty hectic. We're taking care of wife's grandparents, we're taking care of mine, and making sure that they're comfortable. So on top of that, we still kind of do that. So right now my kids are kind of used to having either multiple or like one big holiday, but I would
Mhm.
like to start hosting at my house again and start having those big dinners where my kids can look forward to having a nice Thanksgiving dinner at home or you know but you also have family there too, and that's kind of what it's there for. I always kind of distill that as well, and I'm pretty sure like my wife is, I trust that my wife is as well. She's the one who pretty much plans all that stuff. So uh
Yeah.
kind of just the feeling of like we're here for our families, we're here for um the fact that we're getting together. We don't you know it's not going to be you won't be able to do it forever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately time passes as well
Yeah.
as people, and um
Hmm.
it's the unfortunate part of life, but the big thing is that we can hold memories. And
Hmm.
even though sometimes you have those arguments at Thanksgiving where you get that one guy who's a little bit too political or a little bit too disagreeable,
You got to have the airing
hopefully,
of grievances. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully at the end of the night, everybody's had a couple drinks or um, they've had enough to eat to where you can sit down and watch a game, or you can chit chat, and by the time you've left, there is a positive outlook on things. So, and that's my goal is that whatever's going on, you can at least leave, um, and say, well, that's enough for one year.
Hmm.
But um,
Sorry, I'm divulging into National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation clothes.
too early, my friend. Happy Hanukkah.
Yep. It's not a flawless movie, but man, does it have some great
Hey,
moments.
we quoted it on a Rantcast, I believe, at one point in time.
We did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But see, you highlighted a portion of the film that I always like gloss over and forget about. And it was just like, that is a darn funny scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't push me down, Clark. I'll try not to, Aunt Bethany.
Stop blasting.
Oh yeah. Grace, she passed away 20 years ago.
Shitter
Stop
was full.
blasting.
The way he says it, like he's been dealing with this for years, and he's just like, yeah.
It never fails.
Yeah. But buy yourself a copy of that movie because they're gonna charge you every time. It's like, oh
man.
yeah, we should watch that. Oh, it's $9.95.
Oh yeah, speaking of like, your physical media, it really is kind of going away. A lot of big stores are leaving that.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is supposedly
I
the
mean,
last year for
so
Walmart.
it for physical media?
Yeah.
Oh, for
Yeah.
DVDs. Okay.
No, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K, video games, supposedly all of it.
I can't in good conscience see that because like
You said that 2 years ago.
a lot of video
Yeah.
games still support a disk drive.
Right. But the ones you get in the store, I guess, are just going to be like,
I
yeah, you
know
open up the box and there's nothing inside. It's
I
just
know
a code.
we don't have a lot of people on this podcast, but for anybody who's listening, share this. Please share this exact episode as much as you can. Please support your physical media. I know like
Yes.
DVDs may not be a big thing or whatever, but there's going to be a day when it does all go away, and you cannot petition digital media right now. They take advantage of it. Think of the human condition, right? Big companies really do. They don't have good morals. They're not just
Nope.
going to let you buy digital and let you have your way with it. There's always like, think about if anybody remembers the Xbox One when it first came out, they were going to license everything you fucking bought down to the console. Like you didn't own anything with that fucking console, and it was going to be bad. So much that the people had an uproar, and it's going to come to my point here very soon. And it's going to be, once again, I don't feel like this upcoming generation really has the will to fight that like we did. So I strive for you, because after that, the only other people that are going to carry it are people like us, or you get people like your local hobby stores. Like they're going to charge up the wazoo.
Yep.
Now granted, these things do deteriorate, right? But like at the end of the day, you want to have some physical media.
Yeah.
Or for real, because streaming changes licenses all the time, and you can ExpressVPN your way to whatever the hell. But like, it with that, companies will change that. That shit doesn't last forever. Like they can change it at a whim. And like, you remember when Netflix started with the streaming? It was, everything was accessible, and then we started breaking that apart as soon as net neutrality failed. So everybody has their own streaming service. Everybody wants to buy a license to an IP, and like I said, it's eventually
one movie can't be on every service.
Yeah, eventually streaming is going to be the price of cable. Hulu just upped their prices to almost $20 a month. So
And they'll have ads, but you can't skip.
Well, they do have ads, but like the Hulu free version is almost it's $18 a month right now. It used to be 12, raised itself to 14 2 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, and then it's 16 and 18. So, I mean, I own the digital version of National Lampoons. You can own it. I mean, but it's not truly yours. Like,
right.
According to your terms and conditions, they have the right to remove it anytime they want. So you are buying to borrow that, and like that is the stupidest thing in the world, because ever since trade started back in the good old days, you were giving somebody currency for them to give you something else, and now because of greed, we no longer want to give you anything, and you are literally accepting that. You're literally telling somebody to fuck you. by doing that because it seems simple and it's not hurting you now. Well, it's going to hurt you eventually, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying physical media because of the times. I'm saying that if there was a way to where there was a law that you could own your digital media, like like they had to sell it to you, you could have it forever. I mean, there was one point where you
Right.
could buy digitally and you could back it up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't do
Right
that
to
anymore.
repair, all that stuff. Yeah.
So, um, right now you are literally, especially with things like streaming and stuff. Streaming, because you're paying subscription fees,
Mhm.
and things like music, you now no longer have full access to it. And
Yep.
like that's the excuse they're gonna use. Well, you're paying a subscription fee to use our service. Why do you need to own anything anymore?
Right.
And that should always be a freedom. That shouldn't be a cost-effective method. So,
Mm.
like, literally share that because that is the most important thing. Like, get that message out. Like, that's what I'm going to do today because it's literally the most important thing you can do right now. Because if we don't do something about that, it will become a problem. It's already a problem. It's going to become a big problem, and
Yep.
there will be nothing you can do about it. Like
Yeah.
10 years ago, people didn't fight hard enough, and we got fucked then, and we're gonna get fucked again if nobody decides they want to do anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
Mm.
quit saying it's too hard to do something, and let's do something. I've already started like prepping for that myself, but like I once again, and I've got a full family, but like I'm writing letters, doing anything you can do. Enough people talk about it, and it's going to be a problem. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Because corporations do back down. I mean, they don't like to. They don't want to, but they do
They
back down from
won't. They
things.
won't unless it's a problem for them. That's what I'm saying. Is like we need to turn around and make it a problem. You know,
Yeah.
people need
Rather than
to
just make
realize
it.
that it's uncomfortable for them though, and that's what I'm saying. Is like right now it's comfortable. You have everything you want at your fingertips, and that's where it turns around. There was that saying, people don't pirate unless it's an inconvenience. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Just
and
think
that's
if you have a DVD of a movie, you can rip that and you can throw that on all your devices, and you only paid for it once. Corporations hate that. They want you to pay every single time.
well, it's not just that, but they're not thinking hard enough to the fact that also is what ruins movies too. Is the fact that if you don't own anything, you don't have a rewatchable experience. Everything is disposable. So you're watching it once, you forget
Yeah.
about it, it's gone. And
Yep.
like think about how our
Emerald.
movies are turning out right now. Like right? Like everything's pretty much
Throw away.
forgettable, disposable trash. And like that's what I'm saying is like it's turning out to be shit that can just be thrown away. So
Yeah.
why own it? Because like you're just gonna keep it on your shelf and never watch it again. And like that's the worst excuse I've ever heard. People don't try hard enough if they don't make something that you can buy once and rewatch it. So they have to try harder later because they don't have to try. You just make something else. You'll forget about the other thing. And that's what I'm saying is like we go for these older IPs because they were memorable. Why were they memorable? Because we counted on box office and we counted on like DVD tape sales, stuff like that.
Hmm.
We don't anymore. So, and that's what I'm saying is like digital is great in theory. It's good as an alternate source for things, but you should still be able to own your product. And if you can't own things digitally, if they refuse to let you own something digitally, which is how it
But
should be,
hmm
then we shouldn't have it. Uh, I will never. I'm already having a hard time with streaming services, right? I don't want to be known as the person who doesn't buy anything because I'm a you know, grumpy old man. But um, there's a strict rule about that over with my family, and like I said before, it's one of those things where I think that you should own something most of the time.
yeah.
You want to stream something great, have a subscription service, but at the same time, if you want to buy something, like and you want to have it forever, physical should still be there.
Yeah.
They want to reduce the amount of physical sales, great. They want to make it more expensive, I'll even go for that. But it should still be a thing that is available for people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And don't say it's better for the environment. It's all bad for the environment if you want to get down to it. I mean, you think those phones are like made out of like, tree bark and
no, and I don't think it should be a thing that we use as an excuse. But I still
no,
think that if we're gonna go digital, we should have a regulation with digital stuff. Like once you buy it, you have access to that file.
right
You
to
have access
repair.
to it yourself.
Yeah. You can
Well, I
back
don't
it
know
up,
about
you
I
can
don't know what
repair
you
it.
mean by that, but like it's the file is given to you for use, or you have access
Well,
to it on all
I guess
devices. And
I guess I'm thinking more of like electronics than files. Yeah, you don't usually fix files, but yeah, if your electronic device breaks, you should be able to fix it yourself. You don't have to like if Microsoft stops supporting Xbox, it's like, oh, well, you just
sell it
can't
as a
repair it. You have to
USB.
buy the new one.
But see, that's still outlandish, though. Nobody's gonna go for that. What I'm just saying is like if I bought something on my Amazon TV, right? Then it should
Mhm.
be accessible on my computer. I can go to my computer and I can back it up there. You can download those movies for offline mode, but the file isn't
Well,
accessible to you. You
there
cannot
there's
use it.
they've had it for a long time. They've had devices where if you put the disc in, it can just copy it to the hard drive of the device. Like you could do something like that with commercial movies. You could say, okay, you buy the movie, you own it, you can back it up to your device.
Newer ones have
That's
copyright protection though, like big time.
yeah,
I can't even
yeah.
record them anymore. Like if you try to rip on them or something like that, like the
But then you got
screen's
to buy
black.
like a yeah, you got to buy like a bootleg device that has those components removed or bypassed or hacked or whatever, or do it yourself. Of course, now if you try to do it yourself, they'll say, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, and
So
that's just what I'm saying. Like copyright
yeah,
infringement be damned, because you should be able to face those consequences, and bigger companies should spend their resources if they want to protect their IPs on that. But it should be yours for personal use. Personal use being the ability to watch it and own it.
yeah, and
So
if they want to turn around and try to shame you and say it's stealing, well, those companies are the biggest thieves of all. Like they're so predatory and they just like snatch stuff up and they destroy people who get in their way.
yeah,
And
but
yeah,
just lawfully owning something though should
yeah,
be have access to the file yourself for personal use.
yeah, yeah. The laws shouldn't favor them and their greed.
Um,
It should favor the people.
So before we get further anywhere else, Kurgan, what you got for HeroQuest, my friend?
Oh yeah, I've got a few things. First of all, I wanted to share if my camera is still working. So many people know. Speaking of FOMO stuff.
There we are.
Okay, so I don't know if you can tighten that up on that. So people may remember these. These are the Dread Veil dice, which we now know were created by Fanroll, which is this company working with Hasbro to make these, high quality premium dice. Well, a lot of people were pissed that they were limited in their release. I mean, it wasn't 100% clear that they were going to be like time limited, supply limited. I mean, we thought initially that, oh, they'll be, premium members will have first crack at them, but then everybody will get them. They'll be in Europe, they'll be all over the place. And it seems like it didn't go that way. And it seems like the new Jungles of Delthrak dice, it's going to be like that too. They call them limited edition. So again, the whole discussion about HeroQuest and FOMO, you could say they already apologized for the Guardian Knight. The Guardian Knight was like new gameplay. These dice are just a skin, right? These are just cosmetic change. Your game is exactly the same whether you're using these dice or some other dice. But still, a lot of people wanted to collect them and they couldn't get them. Well, guess what? Now there's bootleggers. So congratulations. So if you couldn't, just tell me which ones do you think are the real dice? Do you think of the one on the left or the one on the right? Which one's the official Hasbro product?
One on the left.
Correct. And what
The other
what
ones
made you?
are the other ones are faded.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look closely, let me just hold it up. I'm gonna look at my own camera. So these, you can see they have like little sparkles in them. There's like glitter inside.
Oh, Kurgan, you
It's
might need to
it's,
pull it back a little bit. It's out of focus. There you go.
it's denser. Yeah, the paint is darker. So these are very high quality dice, and these are the ones that I got these from Gen Con. Other people have spent like $35 on them. Of course, they're way more now. These are knockoffs, and the person who's selling these, I mean, if you go on Etsy, you know what I mean. There's like two major sellers. I think I can name them here. Sure, one's Victory Designs, which these came from. The other one is Forges of Nuln. And they don't say that they're an official Hasbro product. They specifically say this is not the same product. You know, it's not official. They give it a slightly different name. But yeah, you can see that there's less like ink inside it because it's a, you know, acrylic. I think it's acrylic. I could be wrong about that.
So they do that
Um,
on purpose?
yeah, because they know that like people can't get these anymore, so they put these out.
Well, yeah, but do they make them look different on purpose, or is that like because is that as
Oh,
close as they
yeah,
could
I
get?
think I'm not sure. It's probably a combination of the two. I actually think in some ways this is an improvement. I mean, these look awesome. These look amazing. These look beautiful. This is a work of art. You know, they come in a fancy tin. You know, it's cool and stuff. But these are more practical. Like you can actually tell what you're rolling like a lot easier. Like the symbol it's brighter. There's more contrast. And I mean, this is like extreme zoomed in. But you know, on the table, I think that's a lot better. Yeah, of course the light's hitting it at different. Let's turn that light off. Yeah. So, but anyway, for a lot of people, this is going to be what they get now. They're going to be getting like bootlegs, knockoffs like this instead of the real thing because you can't get the real thing. So that's just kind of a consequence. I mean, it's fine that Hasbro wants to do that. That they want to have like these, you know, HeroQuest products that are limited. But I mean, even with like figures, you know, you make a figure. Oh, here, let me show you the actual one. This figure you can't buy. And no, I don't have a bootleg to compare. But guess what? There's people that are making sculpts of these. They just make molds and just like do a cast of it. Just sell it in a different color, call it a different name. You know, maybe Hasbro eventually is going to get mad and try to shut them down. But yeah, people are doing that too because you can't buy these. Now they did
Well,
replace that guy with this one, but yeah,
I still think that's nice though. They're still offering at least something similar so that you can still use a figurine for play.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The Guardian Knight situation was, I think they did the right thing. They kept, you know, they kept the unique figure, you know, so people who wanted to collect it. But it's like this would probably cost you like $500. This is like $45 because this one comes with a big expansion. This one is just like in a box with like 2 figures and 12 cards. That's it. So yeah, these dice, these knockoff dice, are like $15. You get 6 of them, and then you get like some like regular D6s thrown in a bag. No fancy tin or anything. No dice rolling mat. But yeah, I mean, some of the other things that Hasbro's have done, you know, I agree with. Like, so the Mythic tier stuff, we've talked about that before. The exclusive box, and they pretty much released all that stuff. You can buy it. It's just in a different form. So, you know, like here's like one of your Mythic bonus monsters, right? But then they released like a transparent version. So it's like it's, you know, there's no confusing the two, but it's the same sculpt. And if you paint these guys, they're gonna look the same, right? Or you know, you got the other box.
Right.
But I mean, these almost look like what bootleggers would do. Like bootleggers do this all the time, which is funny. You know, they'll take the figure and they'll cast it in some gaudy color, so it's like obviously not the real thing. But
I
people
still think
who
that looks
want
cool
it,
though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like this. and people have, done different things. Like I've put like little LED lights under them, so it's like, okay, this is a fire monster, this is a ghost monster, or whatever, ectoplasm, something like that. But anyway, that was just a little spiel there. Oh yeah, that's what this mythic gargoyle. So like they recast him in red. Looks pretty cool. But it would have just been gray. I'm not sure where I put the gray one. Yeah, that's not the main topic I was going to talk about. Mainly, I was going to talk about the fact that Luca Pasci, we've talked about him before. He's one of these fans. Luca Pasci is the guy who is spearheading the project to recreate the Lost Quest packs from 1992. So I'll just present the little history lesson in the capsule. So in 1992, HeroQuest in North America was reaching the end of its lifespan. The company had decided that they could make more money selling like smaller boxes to kids instead of these big expensive HeroQuest boxes. It wasn't that HeroQuest was unsuccessful. It's just that it's not profit margin. They call it product margin, right? So it's like you get more dollars for the bulk of the product that you have. Like the big, you sell a huge HeroQuest box, or you could sell lots of like little boxes of other games or whatever. So anyway, at that time, so the North American team, so Mike Gray was the name of the guy who led it. A couple of years before, he had met with Stephen Baker, the original designer for HeroQuest in Europe. And so Mike Gray's team, like they were putting together new expansions. So you already had HeroQuest, the game system. You had Keller's Keep. You had Return of the Witch Lord, which increased the difficulty, because that was one of the criticisms of HeroQuest is, oh, it's too easy. Little kids playing it, or first time players, and then you kind of figure out the strategy, and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of an easy game. It's not that challenging. So one of their thoughts was, okay, we're going to make more advanced, more challenging quest packs. And so they had this idea, we'll make a quest pack based on each of the 4 heroes that you have. So we'll have the Barbarian quest pack, and it'll tell like the story of the Barbarian. So you go to like his, homeland, and he will have some quests that he's by himself. He has to hold his own, get new artifacts that only he can use, gather potions that only he can benefit from. Then you join together with the group, and you have this extra challenging adventure where you go against the frozen horror, and the final quest is like super hard. And so they knocked that one out, and they had the elf quest pack, Mage of the Mirror. So same concept, go to the land of the elves, kind of build up the elf's backstory, the lore for the elf character, exclusive items for that character, and so on. And the idea behind these 4 quest packs was it would encourage kids to merge them all together. So instead of having like, oh, I've got an alchemist shop that sells 4 potions and 3 of them can only be used by one hero. Well, if I put all the other packs together, now each hero gets all their bonus items and all their bonus potions, and they're all like super powerful, and it's going to be really super awesome, right? Well, the trouble was they only got halfway done with the project. The Wizard quest pack was still being worked on when everything was just shut down. Actually, the Dwarf quest pack had they'd created a lot of stuff, so they had quests written. They had written one story, and then they had scrapped it and started over and written another story. So there's actually 2 conflicting storylines, which is kind of cool. It makes me think of like J.R.R. Tolkien, writing his histories and like contradicting himself. So it's as if he's collecting legends instead of making up his own, new fiction. So anyway, Luca Pasci had got his hands on this cache of documents, which go back to 1992. And you can see in them like drafts. They're like typewritten, handwritten, pencil sketches, stuff that people wrote out on graph paper, discussions about the stuff, like inside baseball stuff. And it was just like, wow, this is so cool. This is like history. And only a few people have gotten to read it, and I'm one of them. But I mean, there's been like several people, and he's released some things about it. But yeah, Luca Pasci was able to get this stuff, and rather than just kind of have it be something that is for trivia nerds like us, the idea was, let's go in there and finish what they started. Let's actually like make it something playable that can be released. And when I mentioned this before, my main thing was be super careful with this, because there are people out there who would want to sell this as a product, which Hasbro would never let stand. Like, they would just challenge that immediately, right? So how do you get it into the hands of fans without upsetting that that whole situation? So slowly but surely, they've been like working on this, like play testing it, like ironing out the bugs, trying to come up with something playable. And then the question is, when's it going to come out and get released? We don't know yet. But what I can say is this: the Wizard Quest Pack, which is 10 adventures, 3 solo quests, 7 group quests, new spells, new artifacts, new characters, which I guess would be in the form of like STL files, like for new models that you could print if you wanted to. That's coming soon. What is coming soon? We'll find out, because I'm going to be interviewing the guy, and if all goes well, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow is doing a live interview before our game stream on HeroQuest Fans on Twitch, and so we can field questions from people, and I'll just be able to see like, okay, where is the project right now, and what's going to be happening with it. Now, it's funny because I've been able to see this wizard stuff for like months and months and months. And it's like, okay, when's the dwarf stuff coming out? And I got a sneak peek at it and was like, okay, this is really, really interesting. And I'd like to talk about it, but I also want to be respectful of the fact that like he wants to kind of surprise people with it. And since Hasbro hasn't stepped in and said, well, you know what, we're going to release our own version of this, you guys can back off. Like, here's the real dwarf quest pack, here's the real wizard quest pack. Since that hasn't happened yet, yeah, it'll be an interesting fan project to see, because back in the day, HeroQuest was not just products that they sold, it was also like fan
You
related
mean Friday?
stuff. Friday.
Bohemia Sit
Oh,
corrected you.
oh man, you know what, I forgot that we were doing the Tuesday show. You guys are right. No, Friday, yes. Friday before the stream. Yeah, because we used to do the Rantcast on Thursdays, and now it's Tuesday.
It's
You're gonna
still
have to
still
forgive
adjusting
old
for
man.
everybody, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, no. Let me correct the record. Yeah, not tomorrow, Friday, because it will be a live interview. We talked about doing a pre-recorded, but no, it'll be live. So yeah, this Friday, September 27th. Yeah, so I got a little more time to prepare. Okay, just wanted to insert a little editorial comment here. Unfortunately, our plans with Luca Pasci have changed. Originally, I was going to interview him September 27th, but plans have changed. So now the new plan is we're not going to interview him until October 25th, which October 25th, 2024 is a Friday, and it would be 1 p.m. Central Standard Time US when we would begin. So about an hour before the normal game stream begins on HeroQuest Fans. And the plan is we're going to do it as a live show on twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans so that people can ask their own questions. So I'll be interviewing Luca Pasci, the head of the Lost Quest Packs project, talking about the Wizard Quest Pack and the Dwarf Quest Pack that are in the works. And for now, if you want to post your questions, assuming the interview hasn't happened yet, if you want to post your questions on HeroQuest Fans XSC3 Home of HeroQuest Fans on YouTube in the community notes section or the community section, you can post your questions for Luca Pasci there. On the live stream, we'll try to answer questions if people post them in the Twitch chat live. If we get to them, if he can answer them. And if you throw them on HeroQuest Fans Discord, I would recommend you send me a direct message or a private message, instant message, whatever, with your questions. I can't promise I'll get to all of them. Some of them he might not be able to answer, but at least we'll get them in there. So sorry if I get people's hopes up that it was going to be happening much sooner. And yes, on the original stream, I did misspeak and make it sound like it was happening on Wednesday, but no, no, I was just too excited about it. Yeah, because the Rantcast is on Tuesday nights now instead of Thursday. So thank you. Back to your regularly scheduled program than just tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the whole project. So I mean, I'm sure there's things about it that I don't know that we can get his insight on and just see like where the project is, where it's going. Um, because I am really interested to see like what the Dwarf Quest pack is going to be like. Because the Wizard pack, it took a while for like the fans who are working on it to like get through it, but that's because it was like brand new, it was fresh. You know, you had to like kind of figure out the shorthand that they were using, like when they're talking about stuff, figure out the mechanics, figure out like what their goals were. It's kind of like when you start writing quests. You know, I was going to say back in the day, fans made their own quests. You had magazines that would release like HeroQuest bonus adventures and stuff. And I guess you had to buy the magazine to get the quest. But I mean, so much has changed since then. So now when people release mods, you've got Sunday Quest where they actually sell it. You can actually buy Sunday Quest, and it's, you know, the guy wrote it. A guy wrote it, but he can't call it HeroQuest because it's, you know, it's not an official product. So with this, they can't sell it because if they did, then they couldn't call it HeroQuest anymore. So, but the whole point is that it is HeroQuest, and it's weird because some fans didn't write it. It was written by somebody who once worked for Milton Bradley, Hasbro, and I guess they're unpublished notes. So I'm hoping that nothing bad happens to the project. I hope that it continues on, and it'll be interesting to see like, well, how did you get through all that stuff? I mean, look at all the nonsense that happened with SueQuest. Although I guess that's a different. With SueQuest, people paid actual money for it, and they were actually waiting for an actual physical product to be delivered, and it had so many delays that, you know, they took the guy to court. Whereas with this, it's just like you're not really, you're just saying, hey, I'm going to make a mod. You know, kind of like um, the Force engine. Let's use that as an example. The Force engine, Lucius, he recreates the Dark Forces engine on his own.
Yeah.
He creates his own game engine that's compatible with the assets, so that you can take your old disc and you can play it, but now with like increased resolution and mouse look and, you know, other tweaks and stuff. So it's like a new game,
Yep.
and it's free. But then you also have what's the name of the company? Night Dive.
Night Dive.
Yeah. Is it Night Dive or Night Diver?
It's
Night
Night Dive
Dive.
Studios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they made their own Dark Forces remastered, which you buy. It's a self-contained product. You buy it, but the two exist side by side. They're not rivals. They actually shared notes. They talked. You know, it's like, okay, well, we're doing this in our mod. You're doing this in your product. But it's like people love Dark Forces. They want to be able to play it on modern systems. You've got your options. You know, you can dig out your old disc and play the Force engine, or
I
you can
mean,
just start up fresh
Phil
and buy
Kurgan, technically
remastered
you play the Force engine on Steam as well. You
on
don't have to
Steam.
use
Yeah,
yeah, you don't have to use your disc for that. As like I mean you can. I
right.
think of it this way. It's one's a more complicated setup. It's not super complicated, but for somebody who doesn't do a lot of modding, it would probably be
Yeah.
a little bit more complicated to set up the Force engine. And you have to
Hmm.
launch through the Force engine, like program itself. The other is literally just pay this. I think it was $30 when it released. It's probably cheaper now. You pay the thirty
Yeah.
dollars and just click play.
Yeah. And for the
So,
record, I own the Dark Forces CD-ROM from back in the day, and I have been playing the Force engine, and I also bought um, the Dark Forces remastered on Steam.
oh,
So
you
I have
did?
both. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I wanted to
yeah.
play the Star Destroyer map. So
I streamed both.
yeah, you sure did. You did a great job. I enjoyed those streams. Yeah, and I figured out how to use the Star Destroyer map in the Force engine as well. Of course, some other people just did the same thing. So it's just like, yeah, it's all
Yeah.
together.
For me, I can't like I can decipher a little bit of the difference, but like to me, it's not huge enough
Yeah,
for me to give off an
no.
opinion. They're both really great ports. So
Yeah, the
like
remastered one has some nice menus. The menus are really like professional looking, and the what do you call it? The remastering of the graphics is like kind of quick and dirty, but it does a good job. Like it looks pretty darn good. Pretty bright, colorful, smooth.
I just feel like if you want to get technical, like more technical, you probably go through the Force engine because I think there's more available to you. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
like really, if you just want to play an updated
Yeah.
version of Dark Forces, then you
There
can
was a
just
really
do that.
small There's a really small difference on the Star Destroyer map. Like if you see, you're never meant to look down in Dark Forces. I think you just, or no, yeah, you can look straight up and straight down, but like the angles you can look now with mouse look, you can look in angles that they never really intended. So you can see flaws in like the architecture, the way the models are aligned. Like you look at them a certain way, they look weird.
The sky gets
Um,
funky when you do that.
anybody who's played like a Doom source port knows what I'm talking about. Like, but anyway, yeah, on the Star Destroyer map, there's a part where you're like standing on one of these walkways or catwalks or something, balconies, and the balcony is like a 3D model, so it's not a sprite like most of the stuff. And so, let's say there's some dead stormtroopers on top of it. You can like look down, and it looks like they clip through the bottom of the thing. They're appearing on both sides of the catwalk, and that's on the remastered one. But then on the Force engine, like it's aligned properly, so when you look down, like you can't see them. So it's like he thought of that, he fixed it. Of course, all they have to do is patch that. But I mean, like that was a really really small difference between the two.
So Bohemians is saying this is fan made with 30 years worth of nonprofit products for HeroQuest. I don't think they will target this one. It's nothing more than a Mound of Beastmen expansion.
Well, yeah, the Mound of the Beastmen is a famous expansion, which actually isn't that old. I want to say it's like 2019 or something, 2018. But it was like super popular. Like people were thrilled, and the orange dice, like I think a lot of people had never heard of the power dice, so called the HeroQuest dice that are different colors that have different distributions of shields and skulls on them, until Mound of the Beastmen, because Mound of the Beastmen explicitly used a certain type of orange dice, so that I'm not even sure how they're used because I've never played it. But yeah, people are always saying, well, the modern orange dice are different than those orange dice. Well, some of these guys on Etsy are selling what they call boss dice. And I have here, let me grab them. I'll be right back. I guess I do have another video in me. Hold on.
Holding on.
Like what Mound of the Beastmen uses. So double black shield. The only white shield you've got is a double. Then you've got a double skull, a single skull, and another double skull. So they call them boss dice. So I'm guessing then that probably how they're used is you want to have a really powerful monster. Well, it's like, you know, he has extra defense because those are the black shields. His skulls that he rolls could be more powerful because those are attack. And then he doesn't really need the white shield, but if a hero was using this, he'd have a very weak attack or weak defense. But if you did roll one, you get two. You get it? Because normally there's 3 skulls, 2 white shields, and 1 black shield. So very little chance for a monster to defend, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, these are inscribed, so they're pretty high quality. Now, my only thought with these is maybe they'll crack because these acrylic dice, I don't know, they have some weaknesses. Yeah, but the nice thing about this, the Wizard Quest pack, the Dwarf Quest pack, these lost HeroQuest expansions that the fans are recreating. The nice thing about those is once they're released, it doesn't matter if you have the remake HeroQuest or if you have classic HeroQuest, you could just play it. You could print and play. You could use the pieces you already have. You could buy pieces. You could 3D print stuff. Not everybody's going to do it, of course. Most of them would probably just clamor for Hasbro to release it and be like, oh, this is so cool. They should release their own version of it. And I'm sure if Hasbro did do that, they would definitely make some changes. They would definitely tweak some things because there's a lot of like, I don't know, you could say like quality of life improvements that would be needed, because I think they overcompensated. They overcompensated in the difficulty, because if you look at Frozen Horror, it's really, really broken, just as written. It's just way, way too hard. Like, people are going to be frustrated. The quests take a lot longer. And yes, when we were
Hey,
streaming them at first, we had a
I was
lot
about
of
to say, I
short.
tackled those first levels pretty well, I think.
Yeah, you did a valiant job. And I learned as we played, like, what you guys could handle. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, we took a year. We played through it. And with Mage of the Mirror, it was a little easier because uh, Hasbro had gotten the feedback, because this is a board game. They can't just do day one patches. It's not that simple. So they'd done a few tweaks with the Frozen Horror with Into the Northlands, which was great because it showed that they were willing to do that. Like, once they realized people are okay with
Okay,
us
sorry,
updating.
I don't mean to interrupt, but everybody keeps saying hold. Am I missing the meme here?
Hold.
By the
Wait,
what?
hold.
The
Game
stuff is
archaeology.
it's flying over my head.
Oh, Bohemius, I'm not sure. He wants to say hold.
everybody's saying hold. I don't know
Hold.
what.
I don't know. I missed the joke.
Okay, we both don't. Yeah, we both don't get it.
Is this like a battle, like you're holding, or hold the dice?
I feel like I'm supposed to get the obvious joke though.
Yeah, you'll have to explain it to us. I was gonna say, Mage of the Mirror. They did some improvements. They did some updates to make it easier. He said, "Hold on a second. We hold." Oh, you mean hold like come on back? Because I said, "Hold on."
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. I was back a long time ago. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, man. Man, I was so tired. I had to take a nap before this stream. I woke up 30 years later, and I was
Dean,
like, "What?"
I'm just oblivious. I thought there was like a joke there. You guys could have said there was a joke I was totally missing, and I
Yeah,
would have totally believed you.
yeah. All month long, we're just like, hold.
Well, now it's gonna be a running joke. We're just gonna be
Yeah,
saying hold.
holdo maneuver.
Mm,
Yeah, some real damage.
ew. Don't say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, not tomorrow. Friday. Friday, I'll be talking to Luca Pasci about all these topics, and we'll see if he's willing to divulge some more public information about the HeroQuest Lost Quest Packs project, whatever it's called. I don't know. It doesn't have an official name. It's
It's a one in a
one in a
million
million.
move for
Yeah, it
some
is.
fucking reason.
Yep.
Just like hyperspace skipping.
Ain't like Dustin Crops, boy. Find yourself floating home. Yep. So yeah. So I'm excited about that. I'm so excited. I wanted it to be tomorrow, but yeah. Talk to Luca Pasci. I mean, he released that image that we saw. That image that was of the box. As if it were like a fake advertisement for the Wizard Quest pack. And we'll see how people receive it. Because the thing is, for me, I don't mind if it's broken. I don't mind if it's archaic, because to me it's just imagining what it would have been like if they released one more. But I realize, as franchise nerds, we're talking about the fact that you have hit after hit after hit in a franchise, and then suddenly the quality just takes a nosedive, and then you're like, please don't do this. You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing yourself.
It smells like shit
So
in here.
yeah, so it's I get the fact that if Hasbro gives these another shot, they're gonna make big revisions, and that's fine. That's great. If I was gonna pay $45 for an official thing, for me it's just more I'm interested in seeing the rough drafts that never made it to market. I'm super interested in that. So yeah, we're forgetting about the delay. Well, 10-15 seconds isn't that bad. Yeah, when you and I were playing the Frozen Horror, we had a 10-second delay between when we said stuff and when it appeared on screen. So it was rough. But we eventually cut that down to 5 seconds, and then we realized, oh, we can just go through Discord with our streams. Like, it's much better. But yeah, you poor folks in the chat have to like put up with it. It's like, we moved on long ago. It's like, no, we didn't. Not for me. I was there 3,000 years ago when you typed that. When the courage of men failed. So yeah, that's what I got for HeroQuest. I almost talked for an hour.
Almost.
Yeah, because we're still waiting. We're still waiting another week till the next game convention festival, where hopefully we'll get more big news about First Light. We're still waiting for that.
All right.
So it's too bad you don't have anything to talk about tonight. Oh, just kidding.
I
You do.
got nothing. I'm totally
Oh man,
totally tapped out, except for
you got the laser
that
eyes. You got fire
it
breath.
just keeps getting worse and worse.
Oh man. Yeah.
Does anybody have a clue what I might be talking about tonight? Anybody? Bet you can guess.
I have a few theories.
Gerald Ford died today, at the age of 83.
Oh yes. He was eaten by wolves.
By
What?
wolves.
You never know. We got to be ready just in case.
Oh man. So anyway,
That's not really.
in
That was a classic.
the news of Disney completely stomping all over Star Wars, like a woman in high heels steps all over my nutsack.
Dang.
We can kind of see the tides turning with uh, diversity being the main point in this topic today. Because, like I said, Star Wars has always kind of had a diverse fan base. It's a really big IP. It's got a pretty big universe. But I think Disney might be saying the fact that profits are either taking a downturn, whether that's Kathleen Kennedy or other people making that decision. I haven't really pulled anything up on that, but I just heard today. It's speculation, but people are reporting on it right now. It's not huge news. I don't think anybody really cares, but I do want to just as the fact that it might be a kind of a trend now. But we mentioned about a year or so ago that the Ray show, or it's called like New Jedi Order, has actually been put on hold. So, which I'm gonna say it might be canceled, but let's see.
Hey, quick thing. Yeah, I know we've moved on, but Bohemia's just mentioned Dungeon Master from Germany said no First Light and Spiel lesson. Maybe a new expansion announced instead. I'm surprised by that. I'm really surprised. But I guess there's still time.
So yeah, as
There's some
of
more car.
and
Anyway,
this was a couple.
start.
See, it's not completely confirmed because there's only a couple articles on it right now. But and there's a couple people saying it hasn't been, but they were like forever. So I don't know. I'm getting speculative news right now.
Well, how many projects has Star Wars? Or I mean,
Well,
has
see,
Lucasfilm canceled?
I'm
They've canceled a lot of stuff, haven't they?
yeah. So I'm getting to that here. So like I said, people are saying there's rumors, um, but according to Daisy Ridley, she hasn't seen a script yet, or one has yet to be written. So, like I said, this thing's been in like what in the works forever, pretty much. But then again, Disney has 7 projects on the shelf, right? I have a feeling they won't use the same name. What?
Oh, he's talking about the HeroQuest thing.
I was like, whoa, chat's going by a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to do some more digging on this, but it literally just came to me right before the podcast um, started. So this is kind of a thing that I wanted to bring up first, was because if this is a thing, right? Um, Disney has already kind of shelved a couple things. They said they weren't canceled, but they were delayed or shelved right now indefinitely. The
Yeah.
KOTOR remake was delayed due to issues with Aspire. We had the Rogue Squadron movie, which even looked promising because of the people behind it. I can't draw their names right now. Um, but that's still on the shelf. I think it was actually confirmed canceled, but
Dang.
make sure
I
it,
I'm just imagining those memes of John Boyega screaming over and over.
Oh yeah, it was Patty Jenkins was the director, and we had Matthew Robinson and Patty Jenkins as writers for this. But so and that was I think canceled. It was officially canceled. Um, but so either canceled or shelved for that one. But we'll see. But yeah, it looks like right now it was either shelved or delayed like indefinitely. Um, you had a couple. There was a couple other like projects that they just put on hold. Um, and like I said, they have 7 projects upcoming. So, and I think right now with Disney being as busy as it is, or just in that general area, they have quite a lot on their plate, and I think they're trying to still do the Marvel method. But I don't know. It kind of, like I said, it kind of brings me to my main topic here with um, going back to diversity with not just Star Wars, but things in general, right? Um, and like I said, I'm treading on this like pretty carefully. Um, but
Yeah.
uh, like I said, then this isn't just the acolyte, but like I said, bringing up an example. We've had a lot of like big backlash with people just in general in entertainment in general, where um, just making a big stink about how like they'll release a form of media or entertainment. They'll include something that wasn't either part of the norm or something that might be considered boring or standard. Um, so they'll try to do something diverse. They'll incorporate what they consider to be like a strong archetype. They'll say, "Oh, well, we've got a diverse cast or a strong like female leader in here." And for me, in that case, it'll pique my interest. We'll take a look at it, and then it turns out that that's pretty much all that's being ham hocked in the movie or
Mm.
show or whatever. Or like in the acolytes case, it's like trauma dumping. It's we're including these topics in our form of media and then scrambling with um, like I said, we're incorporating these with like forms of trauma to help you relate, or we're incorporating forms of like there's just nothing good. There's no um, there's no turn point of events. There's no plot difference. There's nothing that like to relate to your character in the story. It's just here's this, and if you don't like it, well then you're you're racist or you're
Sex.
sexist or
Or both.
there's a problem with you. And that was
Yeah.
like the big point with the acolyte was it got low ratings. So like I don't know what was it, 60% of Star Wars fans are now considered racist
Yeah.
or
Good luck.
yeah,
Yeah. And
or
and
they're
it
what
just they can't really believe that. So you're okay, let's just take that at face value. So you believe that your audience is racist. You're creating products for racists. So what does that make you? Like, yeah, doesn't make any sense.
that's kind of where I'm getting. And like I said before we started, I was like pretty like heated about a lot of this because I don't know where to go as of right here. I tend to like burn out a lot before we actually get into the podcast. And you can ask Kurgan this. I'm calling him and I'm already venting. I'm already
Yeah.
ranting into it. But because like that's it's not. I don't think that's true. There is a small percentage. Like I said, when the sequels were released, because I'll
Mhm.
even defend those. Those aren't particularly great movies. I know, like I've had discussions with Polsky. I've talked to you. We've talked
Yeah.
about the sequels in general. So like, give me a second of your time, guys. Just listen because, like I said, I'll ramp up here in a little bit. But
Yeah.
the I had hopes, at least some hopes, when there was the transition, and when Disney took over. Because, like I said, they didn't do when Disney took over Marvel in the early days. Like I said, there was a period of time where, um, you could have read the comics or gotten into other forms of hero media, and like I said, being a nerd wasn't always cool. So, um, you could get involved in that sort of thing and still like your other forms of media. I mean, you had your hardcore nerds who were like picking apart at some of those movies, but like Marvel was at least somewhat enjoyable. And I was a lot younger back then. I was like in my late teens, early 20s, but I could always go to a movie with like those friends and get into those things. I knew the basics to most of those heroes, like like Iron Man, Thor. I was more familiar with people like Spider Man and stuff, but like, and that wasn't just because of the movies. I read a lot of the comics, watched cartoons. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like you know,
I
Iron
grew
Man
up
I
with
knew
those
about,
comics. Yeah.
and like I said, I was just familiar, but like I wasn't like a hardcore nerd about those
I
heroes.
wasn't
So
either.
like watching those
I wasn't either.
movies,
Yeah.
they were fun to get into. And like I said, they were
Mhm.
nice to get into. Yes, they had their differences, but they weren't like, to me. It just didn't seem like they were mindless. Um, but like I said,
Can I just
you can
can I just say
incorporate what?
Yeah. I want you to be able to ramp up, but can I just say, like, I also started out hopeful with those Marvel movies. Like,
Sure,
I
sure,
was not
Kanye.
down.
Sure, Kanye. Can I just say this? Taylor
I'm,
Swift
I'm gonna let you finish, but I had one of the greatest rants of all time. Of all time.
of all time.
Yeah, I was positive. I liked the first X-Men movie. I liked Iron Man. I was excited about Spider-Man. I used to really be excited about those new movies. Anyway, go for it.
But yeah, but like I said, they were traditional like popcorn movies. You could still
Mhm.
rewatch those movies, and they had some enjoyable factors to them, all the way up
They're
to like
fun.
the first Avengers movies. I at least in my opinion, um, to me it
Good.
started kind
Yeah.
of diving around like the third Iron Man movie, and then you started just getting
Oh,
it started just becoming like to me it started feeling more like mindless fast food, or just to me it was the fact that like they weren't they weren't changing the formula. So
mm-mm.
and that's why we start getting into what I've brought up before, like fatigue, like Marvel fatigue, because they're just shooting movie after movie, TV show after TV show, and it's all kind of the same formula. They change it up a little bit, but like you still kind of get the same, ooh, what are these superheroes going to get into now? Or and I think that's what Disney had the plan for Star Wars. They had a fucking roadmap for the whole thing. And then when that part of that roadmap didn't work, because they were going to do the sequels and they were going to do the Star Wars stories, and they had a TV show. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi was originally going to be a movie. Um,
Yes.
and then
Boba Fett movie
yeah, and
and
then
a
like,
Rogue movie. Yeah.
and then literally, not just due to COVID, but the overwhelming backlash from the sequels, plus the fact that Star Wars stories did not pan out as well as Disney wanted them to, they shelved those. But
Yeah.
since they were still in the beginning throes of everything, and they were still making money, they decided to change up the formula. And some of it's working, some of it isn't. But I think now that they're having disaster after disaster, where they're spending a fuck ton of money and they're not making a fuck ton of money back, I think we might start seeing a little bit more like micromanaging. Because, like I said, Marvel kind of hasn't had that problem, I think, until recently. But it's been what since um,
Ah,
all the spin-off connected, like the what?
CW,
Oh,
the
okay.
Arrowverse. So
Yeah,
I haven't watched
I don't
any of
know any
those.
of that shit. So no offense, I don't know any of it. But I'm
So
not like it might not be
yeah,
good, but um, But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying though. Is you didn't really start to feel the fatigue until almost 10 years after the first Iron Man. Like you really get into a lot of those movies, and then kind of like officially after Infinity War, I was done. I was okay not watching any of the other movies. Um, but with Star Wars, like I said, they hit the ground running and they tripped. So you know, I don't particularly I don't particularly think it's great. And now that you have and like I said, I'm assuming it's Kathleen Kennedy behind like the helm, like suggesting that we have these certain writers or producers or showrunners, um, because of her political beliefs. And like I said, that can put me in whatever category people want to believe that I'm in. I know where I stand politically, and that's all I care about. Um, but because I don't hate anybody particularly because of their beliefs. I think that's what makes our country great. Is that if you have a different opinion, that's great.
Yeah.
What I don't particularly like is when you ham hock or you ruin a story because you are an extremist. And I think that's what they're putting in is they're using extremists to show off Star Wars, and then they put stuff that they think they know about Star Wars, and like half the people who showrun Star Wars didn't know anything about it. I think at one point in time, I can't remember if it was Headland or
Oh.
another person. They literally didn't know what the fucking Death Star was.
Oh no, that wasn't her, but it was somebody on. Was it one of the actors? He said, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Anakin when he blew up the Death Star." I'm like,
yeah,
what? What
yeah.
the hell,
So,
dude?
and like I said,
Like,
at the end of the day, when you're an actor, you're pretty much just putting it. But you have more characterization when you know what who your actor
at least
is, or when you know who
get a
your
few
character
basics.
is.
Get a
Yeah,
few basics done first. That's
at
like
least just
saying like Superman was born on the planet Neptune. No, Krypton, you idiot.
yeah. So,
And you're in a
and like it,
Superman show. Like
and
it'd
like I
be
said,
just like,
I feel like some of these people are they're either doing it on purpose to piss people off, or they really do have an agenda against a lot of the fan base. Like kind of like how Lucas did at the end. Like they really like fuck these people. Like we want to
yeah,
make it enjoyable for the people we enjoy. Because we have a message to tell.
yeah.
Unlike us,
Uh,
if you have a message to tell, you could do it a lot better without incorporating it into Star Wars. Because what you're gonna do is Disney's already on their way to throwing Star Wars into a compactor.
Garbage
What you're
Matcher, yeah,
doing to me. What you're doing is you're speeding the process up, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which political way you swing. It could have been the opposite of that. It could have been like an
yeah.
all male cast with some guy saying that pulling like the old school you know, all the old school check marks, and I feel that wouldn't have swung either because, like I said, at the end of the day, if you don't make a good story, it's not going to be enjoyable. It doesn't matter which way you put it in. All movies kind of have a little political take. The prequels had their own political take on it. The big thing is it was told along with the story. There was a message to be told, but you were able to sit and escape into that galaxy. And like I said, some people are mindless enough to still do it with things like the acolyte, and I feel like that's where you have to be. But 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 Kurgan Book of Boba Fett still got good enough viewers to be considered, a takeaway. It just not a lot of
Okay.
people liked it.
So it was more successful, much more successful than like
I think it
Obi-Wan
had
Kenobi
six.
or
I think it was right under. It had 682 million, I think, as opposed to the Acolyte's 300 something. I can't remember,
dang.
but it was super low. And
Well, tell me if this is wrong. Since I didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett and I didn't look up the numbers, I didn't do any research. Didn't Book of Boba Fett coast on the goodwill that had been built up from the Mandalorian? Like, 'cause people love the Mandalorian and it did well, right?
I see.
First
I
two
don't know
seasons.
because when I watched it, I didn't mind it except for the weird moped things. Like to me, I'm on the diverse side of it. People have I feel like that's because a lot of people have a hard on for Boba Fett. So
Oh
he needs
yeah,
to be like
I was.
this.
He's the coolest character. He's
Yeah,
better than Darth Vader.
he needs to be
He's
this
awesome.
huge badass all the
God.
time. And to me, it was telling a story of how old he was getting, and how fucked up he was after being in the Sarlacc pit, and that like he was maybe kind of like changing his ways, and nobody wanted to hear that. And like to me, that wasn't telling a bad story. That was just telling a story nobody wanted to hear. And like, so once again, I feel like that's more of kind of like prequel talk because like once again, George Lucas was trying to tell a story and nobody wanted to hear it. Like once again, not all of it was good story, right? Because a lot of like episode 1 was boring, and the love story in episode 2 was bad. So I'm not saying all Book of Boba Fett was good. So I think what they did was they kind of like incorporated the Mandalorian in there. I think I don't know if that was I don't know what that was about. I was really confused at that point. But like I thought the finale was okay and stuff. It was like and like I said, it didn't if I turn it off, it's to me if I turn it off or I stop watching it, it's not good. Like if I have to dredge through something, then it's not good. Like if I fall asleep during it, then it's not good. Like that's my level rating of bad. If I can watch something and I get it and it's not appealing, I don't consider it bad. Like a lot of people consider it bad if it's not like if it's not appealing to them. Like Kenobi wasn't particularly appealing because there was a lot of like to me there was a lot of holes in the plot. Right? Um there was like a lot of like weird fucking holes in the plot with Vader and like stuff like that. But to me it wasn't bad. It, like that doesn't make it bad. It just I don't particularly agree with how they wanted to put everything in like Kenobi meeting Leia, like but like I guess they could get away with it, and like the fact that he had to get drugged through all that fucking fire, like that was some asshole probably saying, "Oh, that would be cool if he got his payback that way."
Yeah.
Like great, but like you're also forgetting how fucking far away that is from A New Hope and stuff. Like think
Yeah.
please, like once again
Can I?
I understand that some people don't care about the canon as much, and they're like, just fucking forget about it. It's Star Wars. But once again, that's what keeps people from watching the like the new stuff, or like
Yeah.
the original trilogy. You know, we can't forget the original trilogy unless you plan on remaking it, which I don't think anybody's gonna fucking touch the original trilogy until like I don't know 20, 30 years from now. And
Let me say this real quick. I'm gonna let you finish, but yeah, I'm doing it again. But I feel like there's a little bit of that streak in Lucas himself. It's so cool. I got to do it without worrying about whether it fits with what I've done before. But I still feel like even in that case, even though Lucas did do that occasionally, he still had that. Well, I've got to connect it. I've got to call back, to the original story. Whereas it seems like the guardrails are completely off for these new shows, from what little I've seen.
well,
And I
that
love Bohemius's comment too,
yeah, I thought I was about to read it. So Lando blew the Death Star, or he found a cheat code in Han's jacket.
because he's wearing the jacket. Or
I I think in general it comes down to this. I think either we're hiring people who just don't know anything about Star Wars and don't particularly want to learn because they're like they said they're extremists politically, or they have a story they want to tell that's not part of the Star Wars universe, so they'll brush up on it on Star Wars and they'll say whatever, it'll be fine. And they really don't give a shit. Or we hire people that do know about Star Wars stuff about Star Wars, and they get overworked, and they have short deadlines to meet for all these fucking projects, and they end up having holes in the plot because um, they literally can't perfect something on this short amount of time, like running the Marvel like the Marvel
yeah,
fucking loop where you have a fucking piece of media come out every year or two. And that's what I'm saying is like
yeah,
Disney is trying way too hard. Disney makes really great stories, and I hate to advocate for them, right? But like they're literally it took them 10 years to make Moana 2. Like which is coming out, right? My kids are looking forward to that movie. It took them 10 years, and like what Frozen 2 didn't come out till what 8 years. And like I said, they're unnecessary sequels, but they're mildly enjoyable to watch. Like I watch these things with my kids. If I didn't have kids, I probably wouldn't be watching them. But like there are people, grown adults, that watch these things without kids, and to me that's kind of weird personally. But I don't, it's not like I think you're like a bad person. But like the big
maybe
thing
a little
here
bit.
is
No, I'm just kidding.
the big thing here is that they make other pieces of media that they have worked on that are somewhat decent. And some people say they've lost their way with that too. In my opinion, I think they make a good piece of media if they could take their fucking time. If they have like you have the right people to make it, write it, and
Yeah.
do the work. When you're using the Marvel method now, because it was selling, it was doing a great job, but like I said, times are changing,
Hmm.
and the Call of Duty iPhone method of doing
And
things, where you need something to come out every fucking year, it's a horrible fucking thing. It's awful. I have I think we should have learned this a long time ago. Like the only thing that needs to come out every year is college football, and cars, because for some reason that needs to happen. Like I don't think we need to have a fucking Marvel movie every year. I don't think we need to have a piece of Marvel media every 6 months, and like for people just to devour, because that ruins people's expectations. Like people need to have something new to consume all the time. I think it
yeah,
ruins the rewatchable like
man.
trope, like because then people can't watch something and time and effort's been put in it enough to where it makes it like literally people like everybody uses this term for movies when they try to sell it. The movie, the big hit of the summer. It's a movie you can watch over and over again. Well, that's actually mean it. Like I don't come back to watch Iron Man 3 or like,
Yeah,
Thor
that was a
Love and
disaster.
Thunder. Like I don't ever come back to those movies. And if I do, I come back to them to rewatch all the other Marvel movies. I'm probably doing something else. Like
Yeah.
that's not watching a movie. That's
No.
putting something on in the background.
Yeah,
And
for sure. It's just filler. Well,
I'd rather watch YouTube at that point. And
yeah.
that's
Think of
that's where I'm getting that's where I'm going with that. Is like you don't have any
imagine
will to watch another like film.
imagine if Lord of the Rings was like that. If instead of like there being a 10-year gap between Peter Jackson trilogies, it was just like a new Lord of the Rings every year. Like what a disaster. We'd be hating it by now. Of
But
course
yeah,
now we got Rings of Power. But
and that's and that's where I'm getting with it here is um I think
the
the
care they put into it is gone.
yeah, and like I said, you have the John Favreau Dave Filoni thing is going to last forever. They're getting old, and two, they've been working on most of these projects, and then you have somebody else who's doing a coming Star Wars movie, and I can't even remember what her name is. Forgive me, but hold on, I've got the upcoming projects here. I know we've got Skeleton Crew, which is John Watts' thing. Got the Andor second season, Mandalorian, Grogu. They might be doing a second season of Ahsoka, but yeah, the Untitled, and this is the one that we've talked about before, the Charmin Abai Chinoy movie.
Oh, I've heard that
Um,
name before.
yeah, this is the lady that was talking about how like she's gonna make um a diverse like like she made it very politically charged, I think.
Always a good
Um
move when you run a franchise.
and I think this was the
Supposed to
Ray.
be for everyone.
I think this was the Ray thing because it's supposed to take place more than a decade after Rise of Skywalker, and Daisy Ridley will reprise her role.
The Raid
Um,
trilogy.
yeah. So, and I guess she was replaced by Stephen Knight. Hold on. Oh no, sorry, my bad. Um, she's still directing, but she was the one who did like Miss Marvel and stuff. So like, and you could tell, like, once again, I don't mind strong female characters. I don't. Like I said, I just
Really?
don't like when it becomes the primary source. Like I said, I've never particularly liked anything that's like politically driven for your your movie. So
It usually makes poor entertainment. I mean, if you're gonna watch like a debate or something, okay, fine. But if you're gonna
or
watch a
like if you're
fictional movie,
watching a movie
usually it's
that's
you
generally
want to
about
yeah.
politics, then fine. But like that's what I'm
Well,
saying is
you can do it like Dune. Dune is heavily about politics. but it's not like it's set in a fantasy world, so you can still like set that aside. You're not like worrying like, okay, now which politician are they talking about right here? You know,
Well,
which way am I supposed to vote or spend
it's
money?
not it's not fair, right? Like if you're making, once again, like these are people that think that, like, once again, like that one sex is superior to the other, or that one
Yeah,
sex should outshine the other, right? And I don't think that's fair in any case.
no,
In any case, right? I don't think that's fair at all. Period. Um,
yeah,
I think that each person has their own qualities, and we should be able to utilize them. And like I said, once again, this comes to our title of this thing, is that we strive, like I said, especially this upcoming generation of people strives to be diverse and more evolutionized, and claims to have a better understanding. And I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just saying that's what we're aiming to be, right?
yeah,
Well, but yet we are I think we are more focused on race and sex than ever, like than probably since the last, I don't know, 50 plus years. And it's underhanded. It's not even direct. So it makes me feel like it's all backhanded. So I don't particularly think that, like, if we were wanting to, like, promote equality and stuff, we should fight for the people who are getting mistreated and, like, underhanded. And if you want to make a movie on that, you should make your movie about that. I think Star Wars is a horrible place to do that if that is your main focus, right? If you wanted to put somebody in the show that's being, like, mistreated or something, and
hmm,
she rises up from that, fine, because that's the point, right? But
that makes your point
like
loud and clear.
the acolyte is like one Sith taking down seven Jedi, and the Jedi are turning out to be evil, and the whole backstory is like because of somebody's, like, trauma or something. They're unloading the fact that, like, the good people aren't really good people, and so you're twisting the canon because you had a horrible upbringing. That's what I'm saying is, like, I don't particularly understand your story. You could be more direct by making a movie that explains that. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do that, but I don't understand, like, the few people that do defend this movie, like I said, are shaming people for not liking it, like,
Yeah,
or threatening physical harm. They're doing the exact same thing that we are striving to not do.
yep, yeah.
Like,
Who are the toxic fans now?
and that's what I'm saying is, like, and that's what it comes down to is, like I wouldn't threaten somebody's livelihood. And like I said, I'm not saying that the opposite hasn't done that before. Like, I bet
Yeah,
Lucas got death threats, and, like, there are racist people in the Star Wars fandom.
yeah.
There are in
How
every
many?
fandom, but
Tell
they are
me
not the majority.
how many times have I threatened you because you and I disagreed on Last Jedi?
All the time.
No, wait, bad example, bad example. No,
Just kidding.
you and I done professionally.
But yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, is the fact that, like, I don't particularly think it is okay in any sense of the word, no matter what you're fighting for. If you're fighting for equality, then you should be the person that you want other people to look up to. You know, you shouldn't
Yeah,
take your responses to Twitter and threaten physical violence, or you shouldn't look at somebody and say, "Well, I think you should die because you think, you know, women are superior to men, or men are superior to women, or you have a problem with this diverse actor or actress."
yeah,
Um, I don't like the acolyte because I don't like the acolyte.
yeah.
And,
Why can't that be enough? Yeah.
yeah, and I
It's
don't
like, no, that can't be it. There must be some other secret reason
I
why you
like
don't.
I like Ewan McGregor, but I didn't particularly favor Kenobi. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed
Yeah, same
watching
here.
it the first time. I watched it a second time. So if I can rewatch something, then it's okay to watch for me. Book of Boba Fett, it was all right. There were problems with it. Ahsoka, I did not like Ahsoka. I did not finish Ahsoka.
And you liked the Ahsoka character, right?
I liked the Clone Wars version. Yeah.
See?
And I liked Star Wars Rebels. I liked her in Rebels. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's not that I didn't like the character. I just
So the
didn't
show
like
was
the
made
way
for
she was
you.
portrayed.
The show was made for you. It was for people who liked the character, and they let you down. That's
I
sad.
mean,
I
whatever.
feel bad for it. Yeah.
But like, but I have a broad understanding on like some people that not everything is catered to me. So there's like back in the day when there were horrible Star Wars games being released, I
Hmm.
nutted up and said, yes, this sucks. I don't particularly like it. I didn't band together for an attack on somebody's life, or you know, I didn't like whine and complain that everybody's a racist because you know, like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like,
It's
you know,
comical to think about. It's like,
but
oh, you didn't like
but
the
like I
glove of
say,
Darth Vader, you racist. Like
but
what?
like I'm saying before here is, I'm gonna get told that my opinion doesn't matter because of that, right? Because of like what I am. It's just another like I'm just another white dude complaining about that stuff. But at the same time, I understand that some of those people do go through a lot of crap, and something like this could be considered as intolerable. At the same time, I'm not saying your strife is unwanted and the shit that you go through isn't okay or is okay. I'm saying that the TV show that's being promoted that either you're in or that you enjoy, I don't enjoy. And it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the people that are in it. I mean, maybe the actress kind of sucks, but like that's her acting. That's not who she is as a person. And
Yeah.
like I said, if literally anybody else could be there and doing the same thing, and I don't like them. Rosario Dawson didn't like her as Ahsoka. Liked her in Clerks 2. I liked her in everything else she was in. Like I said, that could just be direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, who you are as a person isn't always defined by your skin color. Some people do that, and like that's those people, and those people, yeah, they'll get what's coming to them eventually. But like at the same time, that's not me.
Hmm.
So, um, I'm people are allowed not to like things, and your
Yep.
freedom of speech should be told. And that's another thing is like these people are sitting there threatening, and like I'm not saying everybody who's on that side, right? There are really respectful and professional people who are fighting for diversity and inclusion and doing all that stuff, and that's the right way to do it. I
Yeah. You
but
win people
there
to your side versus trying to just rip people apart.
Yeah, and there are people who preach tolerance and then threaten your life if you don't agree with them. And like that is to me the most backhanded thing I think. And
Yeah.
usually it's the people who are public, like the people who are influencers and stuff, and they're teaching um the younger generation that that's the way you should fight. And really
Yeah.
violence is like a last resort. You shouldn't have to raise your fist for anybody unless you absolutely have to. And that's coming from somebody who like had you know rough parents and stuff like that. Like you know, I mean, you think I have a silver spoon in my mouth because of who I am, whatever, but I didn't. So, and like I said, this took a whole different turn. But like I said, to me, it has to be said because of that reason. Like you're,
Yeah.
I really think that like today because of these things, right? Um, if something like that happened, even 10 years ago, right? People would be speaking about it. Some people would be more violent than others on the other side, and like that's not okay. But there would be a fight for this sort of thing. We wouldn't have to struggle like publicly on YouTube to get our point across. And that's what I think is pathetic. Is like really, you know, our freedom of speech is in danger from the people who are promoting freedom and equality.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like, I'm not fighting for the the right to be uh, against you for who you are. I'm fighting for the right to say if you don't like something, you are allowed to say it. There's a difference between speech and action. And
Yeah.
if we start promoting the arrest or the judgment of somebody before they're allowed to act, that's also promoting the right to arrest and the right to condemn somebody based on their thoughts, which is it's a witch trial.
Yeah.
You know,
Thought crime.
yes,
I
and
as in my quest to collect physical media, I got 1984, the movie that was made in 1984, which is really
and
well done. But
that's
yeah, that was all
exactly
about
what that
thought
is.
crime.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like you will literally condemn somebody, and that's what some people are doing now. You are literally condemning somebody because they either misspeak or they have uh, an improper thought or something like that. And like I said, we are human
Or they make
beings.
a joke. Or they make a
Like
joke.
we're human beings. We are allowed to fuck up. It's how we choose to atone for ourselves. And like I said, I don't promote. I'm not saying like somebody's allowed to murder anybody or hurt somebody or cause trauma to anybody else. But what I'm saying is like if somebody can speak and atone for themselves, or like they're allowed to have the freedom of speech to say something is bad or wrong, or um, they're not allowed like I don't watch this movie because this movie sucks, you know, and
Yeah.
you can clearly tell if somebody's being like racist or judgmental, and we really need to start looking at the people we look up to, because not your heroes aren't always your heroes.
No.
And that's what I'm saying is like even this lady, uh, what was her fucking name? I see. I don't pay attention enough until we're on the Rantcast to remember these people. Um,
Well, I kept saying the Thor lady, Jamie Alexander, great actress,
the Thor lady.
the Thor lady.
On
I'm gonna get her autograph, and she's just gonna write the Thor lady on it.
I'll get her. Yeah, it's like people like Amanda Stenberg, who who publicly came out to say that like she supports the people who liked the show, but everybody else is kind of like, you know, racist, or and then asked to demonetize the people who were speaking out against the acolyte, when like some people were just talking about how like, you know, it just sucked.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I didn't
even,
watch your show, so
you know, because like I said, YouTube does have, it's not great, right? Some people like YouTube does have a policies thing, right?
yeah, they
But
have some problems with like false flagging and
yeah, but at the same time, if you are giving off hate speech on YouTube, more than likely you're gonna get like shut down. And like there have been people on Forbes
mhm.
and on actual big, like, and like I said, they're probably not the greatest like journalism posts anymore, but there are people on what I would consider professional like sites now saying that like Star Wars is diverse because we have influencers being like racist or judgmental or like hateful towards these people, towards the actors, towards the the showrunner, um, and they'll just continue to get away with it, get away with their crimes. And like once again, when you're a journalist, I feel like you need to have a non-biased approach to things, and that's extremely biased, and that's extremely hateful and unprofessional. Um, so I don't I don't know what's going on with people. I don't feel if they really think that their personal freedoms are at stake to the point to where they need to fight for them physically, or if they're really just doing this to shut people down because they feel like the publicity will do them good, or if there's like a greedy, like underhanded view for this. Um, but I really think there's something like dastardly at hand, because you there are good people out there fighting for the right reasons, um,
Sure.
and actually having, actual issues that either look up to some of these people or they are fighting peacefully and doing things the right way and not trying to hurt people, because that's exactly what you don't want to do. Even if the other side or the people you fight against are being wrong, like are doing the
Yeah.
wrong thing. There is a right and wrong way to doing things, and
Yeah.
like
I don't.
this is the
The,
wrong way.
the people I disagree with, like, I don't want to see them like thrown in jail. I don't want to see them lose their job. I don't want to see them publicly humiliated. Um, I mean, I guess there might be like a small part of me that's like, yeah, they suck. But it's like,
But yeah, but that's it, right? That's
if,
like,
if
once again,
you
that's a human condition.
that's,
Like
that's
I shouldn't be
that's fine.
told that I shouldn't
You
have those
fight against
thoughts,
it,
and then like
right?
them think the same way because they feel like it's their right to judge because they have that power, and like that's not okay. We once again we live in a country that's supposed to promote free speech, and like I'm not saying hate speech. I'm saying, like, once again, if I don't like you, it's because I don't like you. I think you're annoying, or I think you're stupid, or whatever. I want you
Yeah,
to go away, or whatever. Get hit by a bus. Do I mean it? No. But
strange
like
bus.
people now can clip half of what I say and make it out like I'm a racist or something, and then go around and say, "Oh, he's being hateful." Like,
Yeah.
everybody
Well,
flash mob him, and like it's like it's
yeah,
been a thing, but like
that
use your
mob
common
mentality is
sense.
a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to fight like that. We
Well,
shouldn't have
and
to fight
plus,
against people.
there's lots of people I feel like that buy into this idea that, well, when you're on the right side, it doesn't matter what means you use to accomplish your goal. But if you think that way, just consider that once your opponents get that kind of power, guess what's going to happen to you, right? So
Yeah,
it's just going to just burn everything down. It's almost like, well, it's might makes right. If the strongest person is always the one that wins, then it might not be you next time, or you might fall afoul. I mean, just think of, not going to use the political historical examples, but yeah, just think of any powerful like entity, like the people in the group, like one of them runs afoul. Maybe they were popular one year and then they stop being popular. Guess what? They're now the enemy. They get targeted,
yeah.
and they're out. So you could be next. So when you're with the mob and it seems great, taking other people down, it's like you could be next.
Like I said,
Somebody you care about will be next.
Lee Jung Ye was probably the best part of that whole show, and he played Master Soul. And before you ask, yes, I did sneak peek at some of the episodes. Not like I said, I had my own means, but like I said, I refuse to give Disney Plus that watch. So I don't promote piracy, but like I said before, I feel
You
like
don't you don't condone piracy, mate.
but I do believe in the fact that like I don't I feel like our culture now kind of rolls over and takes things because um you know for whatever reason, like I said, I think whether they think it's we pity the business, or um it's the right thing to do, or there's some sort of moral clause from it. Uh, like I said, when we felt there was something wrong, or we were getting screwed by big business, I'm not saying you had to like rebel out and like go like rage against the machine against stuff. I mean, like, you spoke about it, and you took your grievances like online, and you took action, and enough people took action, and like eventually it became too cost effective for the business to fight back, and they just said, well, fuck it, we're just going to change things, and they
Yeah.
changed things a little bit. And then, like, I'm not saying it always worked, I'm not saying that like it was the best thing or the right thing to do, but like I said, it comes back to the was the physical media thing, right? As like
Yeah.
a lot of people just roll over and say, well, whatever, it's too tough.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I said, when they were, this is gonna put me at age, but like I said, with things like LimeWire and stuff, people were pirating music for a reason. And
Napster
yeah,
bad.
Yeah, so like I said, they didn't feel like they want to be charged that much for music. And then when they started fighting those, big businesses started fighting those, they used a lot of money to fight those and take those down. There were people who just put shit on websites. If anybody remembers BMP3 or anything like that, like you could just download music there. You know, it, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm
news
saying
group
is like,
news groups for the longest time. Like people would
yeah,
distribute anything.
yeah, or MP3 converters, stuff like that. I haven't used to rip. There were people who used to rip using Adobe and stuff like that. Like once again, I just feel like there are still some people who do it, um, but it's kind of a lost tradition now.
Yeah,
Like, and it's becoming harder and harder because we're kind of just letting it happen.
yeah.
And like I said, like that kind of goes to me for the right to free speech is the fact that people fought for that because they had determination, they had the goal. And
Yeah.
when you let a big business just run your life because you're too lazy or you're too, I don't know, you have like this carefree attitude, just not to, you don't like it,
Yeah.
but you're just like whatever.
I like my
And like
physical
I said, I'm
media
not talking
and I
bad
like
about
my
anybody.
digital media.
I'm not talking about anybody because I have the same mentality too. Sometimes you're just like whatever, it's convenient. Um, then they know that most people are just gonna buy it anyway, so they can jack up the price. And if you think I'm being overzealous, or if you think I'm being too much, like I said, do some digging. It's not, I'm not gonna like start pulling papers out and showing you the Pepe Sylvia board because like I'm not that crazy into it, but it's a thing. People are greedy. They're like we are naturally greedy people. Like if you get millions and millions of dollars from a product now, and somebody's gonna buy it regardless of whatever happens, then you start
Hmm.
you start slowly twisting to see if they'll still buy it, and if they do, then whatever. That's what I said. That's why with streaming prices are going up right now because they know people
Yeah,
are just gonna keep it going.
it was convenient to be able to just get an MP3 of a song or like a rip of a movie. But now it's like more convenient to have the physical media because you don't have to like subscribe forever or keep buying it every time you want to watch it. Keep buying it every time you put it on a different device.
Yeah, and
Keep buying it every time they release an update, a new
like
version.
like I say, it just comes back. It comes back to storytelling. Like I said, even with the acolyte, you had the characters' names being May and Osha. Like, come on, why would you name a character Osha? Like, I've heard so many fucking like Osha jokes, like
Yeah,
safety
it's not like
hazard.
naming your character Luke or Han. I mean, you
But
had some Earth sounding names, but yes, just like Occupational Health and Safety Administration or Safety and Health Administration.
you know
Come
what?
on,
Did nobody ever bring that up in a pitch meeting at all?
yeah, it's like every
I,
joke. Just get one YouTuber and just ask them, "Is this meme worthy?" Before you commit to it.
but it's like I said, it's not just that. Like I said, the movies, Disney's kind of had a bad run with Star Wars, and like I said, if you look at some of their other stuff, um, like Elemental or what was it Seeing Red or whatever, it was like that panda movie. There were meanings behind it. I mean, I technically wouldn't want my kids to know the meaning of it right now, but like it's a good way to like introduce certain things about life into your movies, and especially for kids to watch, like because even if they do or don't get it, the fictional part is there. They can watch that movie, they can get away for a little bit, and they understand it, like because it relates to them. Um, like even
Turning
my
Red,
young,
that's what it was called.
yeah, like even my oldest son watches that, and like I said, it's something that like you can you, they can watch, and it's not ham hocked physically in there. Like I said, Lightyear was not great, and it had some good parts in there, but like I said, there were certain parts of that movie And like I said, this is why I'm saying it's not all just about Star Wars. It's just the fact that like I think we are trying too hard to release media too fast, and we are not putting our heart and soul into things anymore. And on top of that, when we get told that shit sucks, we're using excuses, and we're using our influencing power and our status to take the people who are either, and I'm going to use the word here, foolish enough to believe or to look up to those people, and who are using their own resources and their own beliefs to fight for what they believe is right, which is that is okay. But then they turn and they get either violent or they get really nasty because like, well, the other side's being nasty with me. So, but to me, I've always believed that using like I've never always acted on it, but I have had the belief that like literally you are the better person when you can put the sword down. Like
Yep.
somebody else can beat you up, and if you turn and walk away and put the sword down, you have done better than they have.
You won the moral victory.
It's not just that you are, because it just shows how more put together than you are.
You're stronger than they are.
I mean, most of our big influences back in the day did that. They
Yep.
fought with things other than their fists.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's what I'm saying is like most of our diverse leaders back then, they yes, they did get violent at one point in time, but like most of the time they fought with their voice.
Yeah.
You know,
Ideas. Yeah. If you're only strong physically for a while, but your ideas can last and last. You know, they can outlive you. They can win people over. But there's always somebody who can scrap with you, you know, and beat you down. That doesn't mean they're right.
so I consider this a big part of the podcast, like because I don't particularly like to go that deep, but I feel that um it I've always said I'm kind of done with Star Wars. I'm always going to probably say it. Um but I like I said, I still really don't have that much of an interest in anything super new. And it's kind of the same with any other piece of entertainment media. Like Disney's bought a lot of most of our entertainment media, and
Yeah.
it, it, to me that should be highly illegal. Um,
It's so refreshing to go back to the old stuff, though. I was watching these Donald Duck cartoons, and man, these are great.
yeah, but like I said, it's even when they were mildly big, like they still had a way to make things enjoyable, and like that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is it's you are. I don't know how they're not considered a monopoly or too big of a company to handle,
Well,
and that
they're too big to fail, right?
but see that
They can influence politicians and media to like be on their side. That's that's the stage that they're at. I mean,
it's a
without getting into
dangerous.
politics, that whole thing with like Florida, with the
Oh,
I don't even remember what it's called. Remember all that nonsense? Yeah, it's like they had all those tax breaks and like,
it's
yeah,
just it's a dangerous like road, and like I don't particularly like where it's going, even if it wasn't with Disney. Like you said, we've always had
yeah,
our problems with Star Wars, right? But I think
yeah,
it's been more diverse now than it ever really has been. Um, and like I said, I'm not saying Disney particularly is a bad company. I think they're just too big of a company, and I don't like big companies. I like big business because it really, if you have a problem with anything, not personal to you, right? But like anything entertainment wise, or let's say the price of something is too high, you could literally trace it all the way up to the business that owns it. Like it's
right.
and it's nothing good ever comes out of it. You know,
No, it's not like by Disney getting bigger, the quality of the entertainment increased. I mean, the budgets ballooned, but did the quality actually were they more entertaining than
well,
before?
and that's the
Like,
thing is like I can at least get, like I said, a lot of people hated Kenobi, but I can give Kenobi more respect because they used what they had with the budget that was given to them. The
sure,
Acolyte had $180 million.
yeah, that's like a movie budget.
and not one single part of that show was enjoyable to watch. At least from all, and I can't really say that actually because I didn't watch all of it. But from what I
Yeah, I didn't
saw,
watch.
from what I've seen, and from what I actually did get to watch, none of it was enjoyable. And if
Yeah,
it stunk this bad, that's disappointing. I mean, that's disappointing, literally. Like, and that's what I'm saying is like, and if the fans that do like it are that hateful, like literally that hateful, then they should be ashamed of themselves. It's like I said, it's like with the Kenobi thing. Like there were people who were racist about the show. There were people who
yeah,
were griping on what's her face and stuff like that. Like the only thing I said was I just thought she was an unnecessary character, um, because I didn't particularly. She like forced herself into the story a lot, um,
uh,
and I thought the guy who played the Grand Inquisitor was not great at all. Once again, the guy had no knowledge of Star Wars and just tried to play him on his own character, and it was awful. So you know, once again, it came to that. But like, there were people who were literally sending death threats. So I don't know
I
if
don't.
if people were just like trying to blame this on once again just toxic Star Wars fans, but like that was a small part of the community that was doing that, and then another
Yeah,
small part said no, we just don't like the show. The show sucks. But like
mm,
legitimately, most of the people who saw the show were like, "That's not acceptable." You know, you know, there's no reason to give that much hate, towards any actor or actress. They're just doing their job.
yeah.
So I
Well, even if it's the director, I mean, don't make death threats against Kathleen Kennedy, even though she
well,
totally
no,
managed the franchise. But yeah,
yeah.
regardless, don't make don't make death threats.
Well,
How
it's
about
somebody's gonna
that?
take her position that's probably gonna suck anyway, and that's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah,
I don't think the franchise is saleable at this point, and like that brings me to the other point is it's right now Star Wars was good because of how well known and how even with people not liking the prequels at one point in time, there was our generation that grew up enjoying them, right? And the franchise was known both by its movies and its other media, and most of the time it was a positive outlook. It was known all over the world, right? It wasn't known infamously. Literally, whether doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, Star Wars is now known infamously.
infamously. Yep.
And like I don't know if that was the intention particularly at this point in time. I don't know if the execs at Disney can't like fucking see what's going on because like literally the news is more public than it's ever been since Star Wars has been around. You have it at your fingertips. So, but like if their only reason is as long as it's making money, that's a horrible reason because that's only going to be temporary if it sucks. Like eventually people will lose interest. Even the people that are enjoying it are going to lose interest. You keep pumping out the same shit over and over and over again, it's going to lose interest. You're going to have fatigue, or you're going to have people who don't like it anymore, or you're going to have this
Especially
diverse
finale.
bullshit.
Yeah.
So I totally miss Bohemius comic because I was going on a rant. I'm sorry, Bohemius, if you're still with us. They should
Well, you
Stallone. Oh, that's why Stallone should direct one Star Wars just to see how it's going. At this point, you can't get any worse.
yeah.
How
Star
old is
Wars
he? He's
Extended.
got to be old, like super old now.
Well, it's kind of old, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, yo.
But
Yep.
yeah, I don't like I said. At least if you're gonna do a showrunner, you should make somebody who didn't is not known for The Bachelorette, Russian Doll, Sleeping with Other People, show by the way, and About Last Night, all
I
which got a range of 5 to 7 star ratings. And currently, the acolyte sits at a 4-star rating.
Bohemius. Love his comments. An acolyte, I hated the starship with all my heart. I understand what they tried to do, doing retro design of retro design. They're clearly inspired by the 60s show Thunderbirds. Oh, man.
Yeah, like I don't know.
What happened to
I
good ship
legit,
design?
and
You
you
were talking
can,
about the Outlaws. Yeah.
yeah. Well, okay, so Outlaws, when I actually got to play it and play all of it, I kind of understood what they were trying to do with it because the ships on the interior looks okay, but you could definitely tell that they utilized the design for the fact that they had little to no time.
Ah.
So, yeah, you could definitely tell. But yeah, this is what she's known for, and like I've probably done this already before, but like
Yeah. Well,
look at some of
I
these.
mean,
Look at the ratings on it. And like keep in mind this is
let's,
IMDb, but like look at these.
yeah. Well, did
Finding the
anybody,
Asshole, Chapter 3.
well, I think we found it. Uh, uh, what the hell? Yeah,
She's
never
an
heard of this stuff.
executive producer and co-producer for all these things.
Heathers, I'd heard of that.
She's never
Well, they made it
she hasn't been a
go.
showrunner for any of this. She's only
Uh,
been one. And what is she? Oh,
well,
she's an upcoming for something called Dying for
nobody
Sex.
nobody thought that Peter Jackson could do Lord of the Rings, but he did a great job. He was a horror movie director.
But he did horror
Um,
movies, right? Did he? Well, and
but
he
there
had
was,
a particular style.
yeah, there was definitely, yeah. So I mean, you take a risk with somebody, taking on a big project.
And did he do good horror or bad horror?
It was schlock horror, like it was like Evil Dead level of horror.
They could
Um,
do good. Did people like it?
apparently they had a cult following.
Well,
Maybe
dude,
that
they
maybe
took a
that was their
chance.
angle. They were
But
like, well,
none.
Lord of the Rings is a strong, dedicated fan base. Like it's
Okay, but Critter, what I'm
there's
saying is
horror elements.
none of this stuff got anything above a 5-star, except for one. She's
Yeah. So
made
why
mediocre TV,
mediocre? Yeah,
and it's not like Lord of the Rings was having a bad run before
that's
Peter
true.
Jackson had. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying
that's
is like,
true. That's true. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. They're bringing her in at a time when Star Wars is suffering a lot. They're bleeding money. They need a win.
and that's what I'm saying is like you have to understand where this is coming from. Like this is somebody who's technically like probably, and it's geared towards like the what do they call that channel?
Oxygen.
No, it's like that women only type stuff. I can't remember.
One WON.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. But it's like it's just like the like a soap opera type thing. And
Yeah.
that's it's not that I'm not saying that she wouldn't have done a great job. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh yeah, you directed, I don't know, Days of Our Lives. Come and do Star Wars. What? And that's what I'm saying is like she was okay in her own genre. It's not like she did great, like you know, great TV.
Nah.
And it's not because of the genre, it's because she had mediocre ratings. And like that's what I'm saying. It's like what was it? Taika Waititi was planning on doing a Star Wars movie. I don't think that's happening anymore.
No.
Taika Waititi. I don't even think that's happening.
Bohemius is saying more about the ships. Outlaws is inspired to the 90 alley dumpsters.
What?
Oh, he thinks the ships look like dumpsters. Like, you see an alley,
Yeah.
trash bin, garbage. Pictures of. Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, when it was revealed long ago that Star Wars used found objects, like repurposed stuff, to represent their futuristic world. So the lightsabers were the little flash stands on the cameras from the 40s, and the lightsabers were the tank antennas, and they used guns from World War II, and yeah, Episode 1 had the lady's shaver was the little comlink that Qui-Gon talked into. But sometimes it's a little too obvious. It's like, that's not what it is. Remember in the Solo movie, his land speeder was a book. It was literally a book.
Really?
Yeah. At first I didn't believe it, but like they had a toy of the land speeder, and it's just a book, because you can see like on one end of it it's rounded like where the cover would be, like a hardcover book, and then on the other end you can see where like the pages would be. It's like,
So if they're saying it's not canceled, but they don't have anything on it. Same thing with like the Ray movie. I'm going to assume that it's been shelved for now.
Hooray!
So they're just saying that it's been that it's still in the works, but it hasn't been hasn't been canceled. Um, because they've got so many going on. There's so much shit going on. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
remember when
Well,
they used like trash cans and shit for their futuristic, you know, or they'd take parts off guns and modify them that way. That was cool. Now for Star Wars weapons, they're just bland tubes
you take
because
a found object that's cool. You don't just do it just to do it. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take the styrofoam cup and say that it's a space station. I mean,
color it
it's
black, put some like circles on
a
it.
little too obvious. It's a little too obvious. It's a little too dumb. A little too on the nose. It's like you have an idea of what the secret formula to success is, but you don't quite really get it. So you're just imitating.
Oh god,
The
those ships and speeders look so fucking awful. And like
yeah.
that's another thing is like there's so much to use in the Star Wars universe now that they keep creating new shit, and it's going to seem like the world doesn't have any consistency. Like there's so many models of ships and shit now, so like you don't know what's what. Like most ships back in the old EU, most ships were hailed from either the Kuat shipyards or Corellia. You had Kuat, you had Corellia, and you had one other big shipyard that the Rebel Alliance used. And then back in the Clone Wars, it was something else, but they were sold and made there, right? If you were buying cars or anything else, the Outer Rim supplied a lot of that stuff, and the Coruscant. You
So
get
what
a
you're
lot of
saying
stuff from
is
Coruscant. You
you
keep
can
making these.
imagine a similarity of design within that,
Well,
right?
like I said, the car that like Solo had in that movie at the beginning in Corellia, that could be explained a little bit better because like I said, Corellia was known for its diverse ships, but they keep putting that fucking ship everywhere. Like in Outlaws, they used that ship as like a callback to the movie, but like
Hmm.
you wouldn't see that on Tatooine or anywhere else. It's supposed to be a Corellian like it's supposed to be a Corellian kind of like sports car.
Oh,
And then
see, I always thought of it like a semi truck, or a
what
pickup or something.
the car that Han used in the beginning of Solo?
Oh no, I'm talking about the Falcon. Never mind. You're talking
No,
about the Solo. Yeah,
no. If you're talking about the YT-1300, it was a cargo freighter.
yeah,
But that's what I'm saying is most and Corellia was known for making really good freighters, like
yeah,
bulk freighters and otherwise. And that's what I'm saying. So you could do that, or Mon Calamari supplied like good ships, like freighters,
yeah.
and
Cool looking.
um. But I think those two are the main plants. But like most military stuff was supplied by Kuat, the Kuat shipyards, or like I said, Corellia made a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, even just use that example, like the Star Destroyer with it's just like pointed. It looks like a shovel or something, versus the Mon Calamari where it's like more rounded, and it almost looks like I don't know, like a shaft of coral or something.
Yeah, but my big issue is they just keep making shit. Like they just keep
Hmm.
making new stuff because like somebody wants to make their own ship in Star Wars and put their own fucking like name on it. And
So what's wrong with like using some of the old designs?
yeah,
Like,
bring back some of the old stuff. Like
you get
fuck, man.
variations on
There's so much you can use. Like,
it.
and that's what I'm saying is like it makes the original trilogy and stuff irrelevant when you throw stuff near the original trilogy that's never been seen before,
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Well, they could say, "Oh, it's a big galaxy," but they keep going back to like the same
Well, not when
planets
you're
and
going, but
stuff.
yeah, not when you're going back to the same fucking world, or like the new worlds that you use have the same fucking biomes and shit in them. Like they're
Yeah.
empty forests or bland desert.
How many desert planets? Yeah. Well, and it shows like Doctor Who, you could get away with it because everybody knew
That
the budget was like rock bottom. So of course, it's like, oh, another planet that looks just like this. But
But
Star
like
Wars, you've got a budget.
that was my biggest problem with the Force Awakens though was the Jakku. It was Jakku and the
Just make it
speeder.
Tatooine.
But the speeder was explainable to me. I was like, oh, it's just a new speeder, right? There are dozens of different speeders, and if Jakku's just a desert planet, then
Yeah.
it's probably a scrapper. So whatever.
Hmm.
But like I said, that was around the
But they
time
made a salt
Star
planet.
Wars was relatively coming back. So
Yeah.
whatever, you know. But now you've got like multiple series using different types of ships by the original trilogy. I was like, and they're trying to ham hock all the new troopers they've got and all the new
Yeah. It's
like
like they
come
keep
on.
revising it. Like if you turned the camera around, you would have seen like Death Troopers walking through like Mos Eisley or something.
That's what
Like
I'm
what?
saying though. Is like if the special forces were that well known and Luke, Han, Leia were that fucking wanted, which they probably were, you don't think they wouldn't be sending death troopers after him?
Right.
Like
They all
it was more
they,
explainable when they didn't use
they all got
them,
in a they all got in a speeder accident and got killed. So
and they were used like in Rogue One just there because it was like Krennic's personal guard, or maybe during the fall of the Empire they weren't used anymore, or like you could
laundry
use it.
day tomorrow. Nothing clean, right?
Yeah. But see, yeah, that's what I'm saying is like it's just now they're everywhere in all parts of the.
Yeah, they're not special anymore then too. Yeah, I could almost buy Rogue One because yeah, you had the generic stormtroopers we're used to seeing, but then yeah,
Well,
sprinkled in there a
you had
couple
the Imperial
variants.
Senate still, and you also had different types of troopers based on the biomes. Like I said, the Death Troopers could be used as Krennic's guard, right? But they're
Yeah, as
now used
personal
everywhere. So,
guys.
and you don't exactly know what the fuck they are because they don't technically speak. So I never really sought to look them up, but like that's what I'm saying is like it's weird when they're ham hocked everywhere now, or they're getting thrown into every piece of Star Wars media because, like you said, if they were
Because
used to hunt
they
down
look cool.
fugitives, yeah,
Yeah,
or and like all the new blasters and shit, like I said, it's I just have this feeling they're gonna try to modify the original trilogy again. They're already in deep, and
McClunky.
I feel like it's gonna become one of those situations. They tried the waters by adding the McClunky in there.
Yeah, I wonder how many other versions of Star Wars are just sitting there in the vault.
I don't know.
Lucas had them planned out every 10 years, release one of these. Oh,
Oh, it's like poetry. It
getting
rhymes.
getting him confused with Red Letter Media. Yep, yep,
It's killing me, man.
yep. Yeah, I at a certain point I feel bad for criticizing Lucas. I mean, he made a lot of mistakes, but he never intended this.
See, to me, Star Wars was enjoyable then, though. I mean, yeah, it had its issues,
Yeah, it
but
was. Yeah, it
I
was
could
like I
still
was
rewatch
excited for it.
the
Yeah,
remasters and enjoy them. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. So,
yeah. There were
like,
parts of it I liked. I mean, the cleaned up Rancor was cool. Um, I
like
yeah, it's just
you
like
still have the videotapes, Kurgan. I bet you still have the original videotapes. You could
somewhere.
watch both. So
Yeah, I
it's
got the 2006 DVDs, the bonus discs. So and I've got all kinds of fan edits. people made. But yeah, somewhere I've got the VHS. Actually, I only have the VHS of the special editions. Those were the first ones that I ever bought.
Yeah, to me it wasn't
So
that big of a deal. So like, I mean, like I liked it because it like helped with like the prequel explanations. So to me it was
a little
fine.
bit.
But like I wasn't like, see, you're a die-hard original trilogy fan, so
Some of the stuff, yeah, it's like when you mess with my trilogy. That's
you're
where.
like, I can't believe they changed Jabba
Oh
from the fat guy.
no!
They changed him into a big fucking.
Actually, actually, the that was never it was never shown in theaters that way. But yeah, that was people knew about that, but nobody actually saw the footage until the special edition came out. Then they had it like on every like TV program. It's like Star Wars is back, and here's an example of like that was the footage that they gave them. Is like, okay, we had Declan Mulholland walking around, and then oh, now we got CGI. I like Jabba. I was like, oh, cool, more Jabba. And it's like, why does he look
Experience Luke talk nonsense at
big
fucking
frog?
Tashi Station.
Yeah. See, I wanted more of that footage put in. Like, I'm surprised we didn't get more of that. Yeah.
Well, he did pick up those power converters.
Yeah. He wasted time with his friends when his chores were done.
Yep. Biggs is
Yeah.
right. I'm never gonna get out of here.
Yeah, I'll tell you how goofy I am. So I had no intentions of buying the Blu-ray Star Wars package, like the Blu-ray set, the Saga edition,
Have
but
it
I
over
bought
there.
it. Yeah, I bought it specifically because I knew there were bonus discs on there that had the unreleased
Oh, and it's so
deleted
nice
scenes.
here.
Deleted scenes. Yeah.
Missing the outer casing. There came with like an outer casing shell, but so nice. It's
Hold on.
got nice little artwork. It's got this
Hold it
this
back.
nice
Hold it back up again. The
this
front.
nice artwork. What?
Yeah, the shadow. Yep.
But yeah, so it's got that, and then when you flip it
That's
open,
the same. That's the one I've
it's
got. Yeah.
got this. The artwork is very nice.
Okay, turn the page.
And then you've got episode 2.
Not sponsored. Yep.
Look,
I,
it's just so good.
I like
So good. Like,
my point of view. The Jedi are evil.
they're very evil. And then you've got episode 4. And like I
Oh
said,
yeah.
this is all artwork. This isn't like, I don't know if they look like just like clips in the original movie, but this is
Yeah,
all
from
artwork
here it's
done.
hard to tell if they're photographs or not, but yeah,
They are not.
okay.
This is like artwork.
Paintings. Now you could
So,
just AI this, but yeah.
and that's probably my favorite right there. I like that one.
Deleted scenes, yes. Okay,
And then yeah, I think this is the
that's one.
bonus.
Best
This is bonus disc,
favorite.
right? Yeah.
Yep, yep. See,
And
this is
then
what I came for.
another
This
bonus
is what.
disc.
Yep. There's 3 bonus discs in there, and they
This
that
one, yeah.
had the highest quality of the deleted scenes from the original trilogy. Now the ones from the prequel trilogy are rough
And then you got
because
all the
it's
characters right there.
blue
Guide
screen,
to the
blue screen.
Galaxy.
Yep. Yeah. So it was a worthwhile set. I could have bought the individual discs on eBay, but for the prices people were asking, just buy the box. So I did.
Yeah. And this came out right before uh Force Awakens. So I bought
Yep.
this, and then my last DVD I ever bought for Star Wars.
That Blu-ray set right there is better than the 2004 DVDs where they had like a blue tint to everything,
Oh
and
yeah.
they messed up the colors completely.
The
Laura Digital did a
the
terrible job.
last 2 I ever bought.
Rogue One. Yeah, I actually have a copy of that now. Rogue One. I got a bunch of sci-fi movies for my dad, and that was one of them. Got it used.
Oh really? Yeah, these are brand new. I don't think I've ever used The Force Awakens. Or I think it's still in the wrapping. Yeah, it is.
You've never used The Force Awakens?
No, because I bought these for archival.
See,
And I, like I said,
there's
if
a
I
comedian.
like my original statement was, if I really like a movie, I'll buy it. Right?
See, yep.
So I never got the chance to buy
Well,
Solo. I might be
there's
able to find it because I did like that, but it
do
was
it
at the
do it
time
now.
when I didn't have the cash to just go out and buy stuff. So, but after
Yeah.
that, like
Well,
Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. I didn't like it that much. So
yeah, yeah. I didn't buy any of those. But I will say I will go with you on that. That now is the time to buy these movies if you want them, because the prices are only going to go up
I'm
as
looking
that
at
physical media goes away.
my physical media collection because we have more DVDs out there, but those are my wife's. So if
Or you could
I'm
just rent it every year for $9.99.
very picky about my movie collection because it's shrunken. So movies so good that I bought them, and this is throughout what almost 20 years. So
Nice.
was Hitman,
Oh man.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So you could tell my teenager, like my
The
inner teenagers in here.
angst is just like oozing off the
Reservoir
screen.
Dogs,
Oh, can you hear this?
Resident Evil Degeneration,
Oh, I've definitely not seen that. I've seen the first two
and
movies.
the first season of Game of Thrones.
Oh man.
Smallest collection ever.
Wow. Yeah. You're gonna be reading a lot of books in that bunker.
Got a lot of
Yeah.
PC games that'll work. So
Yeah.
without the CD keys.
You got at least one copy of Knights of the Old Republic, right?
Yep, I've got KOTOR 1 and 2 up there. And
That's
I've got
nice.
the discs, Dark Forces, and because that special edition of Jedi Academy comes with, or Jedi Outcast comes with Dark Forces.
Yeah. I like to think that somewhere in your house there's a glass case that says "In case of emergency, break glass," and behind the glass there's a copy of Knights of the Old Republic.
Well,
Because
I've
it can't,
got
can't
KOTOR
go.
right there. KOTOR's
Yeah.
available. I have like 7 different copies of KOTOR. And I bet
Hell
you that
yeah.
emergency glass will have the copies that you burned it for me of like Jedi Knight.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Such a great game. Such a great game. Among other great games.
Indeed.
Yep.
But yeah, that was it for me on Star Wars. I just like I said, I want like people to if you don't like something, at least here on the Rantcast, if you were to come on here and speak your mind on it, you don't have to fear
Yeah.
like being made fun of on it. Yeah, we're gonna speak our minds. I might tell you
Yeah.
you're wrong in a very nice and like polite way, but I'm not gonna hate you for it. That I this weird like mentality where people like hate like I can understand where people mistake things politically or like
Yeah.
because maybe they've been treated wrong or they had a rough upbringing to where like something that somebody personally says they have a belief in might be offensive. And even though I believe that you shouldn't take it personally, depending on what's said, right? Like if it's like a casual belief and maybe like you find it offensive, maybe you should like just like if you respect them enough, you should let them know. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I went
Yeah.
through this like at one point in time. Like, kind of share a little bit. You don't have to share everything, but you can't assume everybody's gonna know everything. And like, as long as they're
Yeah.
not being
I
like
haven't
fully
lived your life.
disrespectful, if they like mention something, then you know, you kind of make them aware because nobody's gonna learn if they're constantly ignorant. And
Yeah.
uh,
If they don't respect you, they're not gonna change for you anyway.
but
So
yeah,
better to let a friend know.
now we're being blindly offensive about like TV and other entertainment media, and you know, I feel like you shouldn't have to walk on eggshells when you talk to people or meet people or talk about your media because it's just media at the end of the day. We shouldn't look up to actors like they're leaders of the free world. Uh,
No.
we shouldn't look up to them like they're religious beings or anything.
No.
They can be inspirations. I at least that's what I think is like. You want them to be inspirations for you, great. That's I believe what they influence people, right? But if you don't know somebody, you don't know then you don't know how you could love them. You don't know them personally.
Yeah.
There's not a chance to build a relationship with them. Bohemius is saying, I got 3 copies of Force Unleashed for Wii. I want to be able to play that game in any place I went. Wow. Did I ever try Force Unleashed for Wii? I got to play it at a friend's house a way long time ago, and it was really fun. I thought it was better than the next gen versions. I did own a copy for PSP, which was kind of like the same port, and I have, I think, the PS2 version on emulation because you could play like um, it wasn't the Wii controls, Kurgan, that got me on that one. It was like they had like trilogy battles with that and stuff. Where like unlike in the next gen version, this was ported by a different developer, I think, and so
There
not
were
only was
differences.
your not only was your lightsaber not backwards, but you could play as like trilogy characters like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader,
Hmm.
and you could do
Yeah.
the trilogy fights differently. Like they had like Return of the
Well,
Jedi and stuff like that, and
so
they did multiplayer, which I think was a
yeah,
good. It was a good.
yeah. See,
It's kind of like a
yeah, I was
good.
just gonna say that
It
the
kind of
multiplayer.
accommodated for the people who are buying it on last gen or like Wii
Yeah,
because it wasn't
yeah.
as graphically demanding.
It had features that the other ones didn't have. I liked the use of the Wiimote. There were a lot of Wii games that I thought the Wiimote was just superfluous. Like
Like
it could have
I
just
didn't
been a regular controller,
don't like to
but it was
waggle.
cool. Yeah, it was cool, like swinging the Wiimote around like a lightsaber. And yes, you could put the little fake plastic lightsaber on the end of it to make it look cooler. But yeah, the like Bohemius is saying, the multiplayer, the 1v1 in the
There's
first
a
game, it was yeah,
there was
you
a
could
light
deathmatch.
gun shooter for Wii that I enjoyed. It was like Resident Evil something or other. I can't remember what
Oh
it's
yeah.
called.
See,
But
I need to track down some more of those games because you can find a lot of like, well, at least maybe a few months ago, maybe a year ago, you could find a lot of cheap like Wii stuff at like used stores,
I
and you just
had
dust it off, play it.
I have an emulated version of it, but like for some reason my sensor bar doesn't work. Like the ones for PC you have to configure and they're like harder than hell. I have a Wii in the house, but it's not mine. So, but yeah, like there was a light gun shooter for like Wii. It was like a Resident Evil one, and I enjoyed playing that. But
You don't
like it's,
you don't
motion
need a
controls were awful for me. I hated motion controls.
if you don't have a sensor bar, you can just get 2 candles.
Yeah, but like nothing's registering for me on that. I have a
Yeah,
Wiimote now for that reason, and like just just
yeah,
for emulation purposes.
yeah. I
But like,
bought a sensor bar and I bought a Wiimote just so I could play it on the PC. Yeah, yeah,
then you need to come over and help me get it configured because I can never get that thing configured properly.
yeah.
For
It's kind of a
Dolphin, it's
pain.
awful.
Well, yeah, and plus yeah, because you got to pair the device, the batteries have to be good, all that stuff. It's kind of annoying. All right, yeah, I can help you. Yeah,
Be
but
great.
I have Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition on PC, but I still enjoyed the Wii version as well. My brother has it.
I've got the
Um,
physical copy back there, and the
yeah,
one on Steam.
and I got Force Unleashed 2 on PC as well. Um, I want to say for Force Unleashed 2, they released a bunch of content that was only on console and not on PC.
Uh, I
But
don't know because they
but
had the
then
DLC
I
on
thought
PC and or for the first
yeah,
and second one are on PC. I think.
it was some weird thing like somebody hacked the PC version, and they found out the content was on there, and so you could still play it even though you didn't have the DLC. I don't know. It was something like that.
I don't know. I haven't played the second one on PC yet.
But
Like
I
I
think I
bought
have.
it, but I haven't played it on PC yet. I played it on
I think
PS3 back in the day.
I want to say Force Unleashed 2 was an Xbox. So Xbox 360 used to have games with gold, like Xbox Live Gold. You would get just every month you get a free game or 2 free games. It's gone now. They took it away. But yeah, I downloaded a lot of games that way, a lot of free games with your subscription, and one of them was Force Unleashed 2. So I have the full version of Force Unleashed 2 on a hard drive somewhere, the 360 version. So it has all the stuff unlocked, but it's like on the PC you had some of the stuff, some of the bonus stuff, because there was like an Endor level and there was like some extra saber crystals and other things.
Yeah, the
There was
Ultimate
some
Fifth
like
Edition
challenge.
had had a couple levels actually. There was one
Yeah.
that they tried to do
Well,
like a
both of them.
modified trilogy levels where you were to kill like Han Solo and Chewbacca,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you turn Luke the
For the
dark side early.
I love that. The first game, yeah, because when they see it started out as a PC, or I mean as a console game. When they ported it to PC, they included some extra stuff like right from the start that you could play. Then they made it DLC for the console. But yeah, I want to say you go to Tatooine, you kill a bunch of the main character main characters from the original trilogy, and you actually get to fight I think you kill Obi-Wan Kenobi. He comes back as a ghost, and then you kill him as a ghost too.
Yeah, but they're different.
It's
So they're like different sections of the storyline because it all took place of
Mhm.
like when if you chose
Yeah,
the bad side
alternate
ending.
ending.
Yeah,
Yeah, alternate ending. See, I love that. See, I wish they would have done something like that with the Jedi Knight series. Like, what if Kyle Katarn, fell to the dark side? Like, he could play a couple levels like that.
and they did that with the second one too. They did one where it was like what happened
Mhm.
after Luke's death or something like that, and then like you had to fight Leia as a Jedi or
Could
something like that.
slaughter Ewok. Yeah. So yeah, it was a one off, but it was fun. My
And it
Wii broke.
always followed. They always took inspiration from the
Oh.
EU on that one.
Yeah, I knew people whose Wii's broke down. Like they stopped playing games, they just watched Netflix on them,
Oh,
and then they took those offline too. Yeah,
that's
so
sad.
Force Unleashed 2's multiplayer was just a ripoff of Smash Brothers. It was like 2D, but the first game it's like as if they just took the characters from the main game and just they throw you into an arena, and yeah, you could pick classic characters and you had
Yeah,
power ups.
I've only really played through the next gen version, but I haven't played.
Yeah,
I played the
it's not
PS2 a
like
little bit, but I've only really gotten involved in the PSP version, like
yeah,
for last gen, and it had the modes, but I never played multiplayer.
yeah. I mean, it's nothing like playing multiplayer like Jedi Knight or Jedi Academy or whatever, but it was nice that it was there because that's you didn't have that at all on PC.
It reminded me more of like the Episode 3 game.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like a Soul Calibur game, but with Star Wars. I guess the camera was zoomed out a little bit more. Yeah, of
Luke using Force lightning on the sail barge.
course,
Oh yeah,
it's canon, canon
all canon.
all the
It's all
time.
true. All every bit of it. All true.
Yep, everything that you've heard is true.
Well, I'm good. We are at the 3 hour mark,
Dang.
and I gotta take my meds and stuff. Do you have anything to end off with tonight?
Well, in light of what we're hearing about BLS, and I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer for those big reveals. But sounds like there might be some interesting things in the next week if they're going to make another HeroQuest announcement. I feel bad for people who are still fans of modern Star Wars, like just being disappointed over and over again. But I just want to say, come over to the light side. There's lots of like good old Star Wars stuff, whether it's in the EU or the original trilogy, the prequels. Give it another try. You might find something good and might make some friends.
Yeah, I just say fight with your wallet, right? Like,
Yeah,
and at the end of the day,
sure.
don't stop speaking your mind, because if it's something you truly enjoy watching, there's not a lot of like escapism in this world. I mean, there's supposed to be, but like if it's something that truly means a lot to you when you come home and like want to get away, don't let other people destroy it for you because they want to make a quick buck. You know, it's
Yeah,
the only way. It's
it's
the only way you can get anything to change. So
yeah. Well, and it's not just escapism. It's people get inspired. You hear about people saying like, "Oh man, I was going through a rough patch, and that album like got me through some rough times." Music can do that. Movies can do that too. People can be inspired by characters. It's like I feel really inspired by Luke Skywalker. He's a great character. Maybe not the Jake Skywalker that we have now, but
And
the
just to
classic Luke Skywalker.
just to
Yeah.
finalize, to me, Star Wars isn't just Luke, Han, Leia, and Darth Vader, but to summarize that, it is a story
Lando and
about
Chewbacca too.
heroes and villains, and something that follows a timeline.
Hmm.
You can't just throw whatever you want in the fucking mix, and that's, if you expect me to like that, you're mistaken. I mean, I'm just not gonna like it. And
Yeah.
no amount of slandering me or telling me how I feel is going to fix that. Personally, I really don't give a fuck what people think about me when it comes to that. But like, because I know where I
Hmm.
stand officially, and I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough on the internet for people to care. So, but even
Yeah.
if I was, I wouldn't care. I
Yeah. Give
really
you Star
wouldn't
Wars
care.
theory.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, not even even. That's just a good point, right? Just regardless of what you think politically, it's not supposed to be a political fucking fight. Everything else in our country right now is a political standoff. The thing we can get. I hate that people want to make a fucking fight over everything. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be a fight. It should be something we enjoy together. I should be able to relate with you
Yeah.
about it. I shouldn't have to fucking fight with you on your childhood trauma. I really, if that's something we bond over, great. But I'm not gonna
Hmm.
fucking fight with you about it because you know you got your fucking shit in my entertainment media. So at the end of the day, I don't
Yeah.
I don't hate the show or the story you're telling because of who you are. I hate the story you're telling because you're not telling it very well. Sometimes I don't say things that I like to say very well either. I look at how other people say them and they're like, man, they're breaking that down exactly how I would have said it. I wish I could talk that well too, man. And I used to be in business. Talking is a very important thing.
It
But,
is.
you know,
Communication is key. Yeah. Yeah.
so
You can have a good idea and you're just not good at telling it. And yeah, get a better speechwriter. Get somebody who has some talent to deliver it. Or maybe you're just not the right one to tell the story. Maybe somebody else needs to tell it.
indeed. With that, I'm probably going to send this off. Um, but I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. So, and if you'd like to join the Rantcast, we do have our personal Discords. They are listed in the TheRantCast Podcast channel. You can find that link on our main page, or you can just ask us. We'll send you a link, and you can join us in our discussion. Just let us know. We'll throw you in channel. Yeah, like I said before, thank you everybody for joining us, for listening to us, for being part of the discussion, and we'll catch you guys next time. I am Josh, also known as The Strange Bus. You should be able to catch me streaming at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. I'd like to thank the other host here, Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans. You can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. And I hope everybody has a great night. Take care, everybody. We'll catch you on the next Rantcast.
TheRantCast.
Oh, man.
Yeah.